Chapter 2197. Ah, what do you mean? Helpless was shocked and hurriedly asked. Martial Uncle Zhen, please teach me. It's nothing. Zhen Shichao flicked his sleeves and didn't stop moving. He smiled and said, there are some secrets that you don't need to know. This old man is just casually saying. When the time comes, you will naturally know. Xiaohua moved to the bottom and waited for the magic power on the mirror to gradually disappear. Only then did he slowly move to the top of Jilei Peak. What he didn't know was that when he entered the depths of Jilei Peak, the extremely bright purple light was already less than 100 miles away from him. However, that light was very mysterious and its fluctuations were also obscure. It was difficult to attract Xiaohua's attention. Xiaohua flew back to his original location and quietly released his Buddhist sense. When he saw that Helpless had sent Zhen Shichao out without closing the restriction on the array, he couldn't help but be overjoyed. He thought to himself, since I've already attracted Master's attention, I'm afraid I can't stay here any longer. The stagnant spirit energy in my meridians and body has already been eliminated. The inner core of the Phoenix Dharma body will never be refined. It's better to come back later when I have time, or even when I'm on duty. Now that the array is open, I don't need little silver to make a hole anymore. It's better to get out as soon as possible. Xiaohua thought and hurriedly flew out of Jilei Peak. He unfolded his Phoenix Dharma body and blocked many lightning bolts while he calmly flew out of the restriction. However, as soon as Xiaohua came out of the restriction and released his Buddhist sense, he saw Helpless flying back. Xiaohua had an idea. He didn't use any invisibility talisman and turned around to fly back to the restriction. Xiaohua. Helpless naturally saw Xiaohua's back and asked curiously, you came out of seclusion? Master, why aren't you in the array? Xiaohua heard Helpless call and pretended to be astonished. He turned around. And Master went out for a while. I have something to do. Helpless glared at Xiaohua. When did you come out of seclusion? Why didn't you stay in seclusion for a few more days? Looking at you, you didn't make any progress. What did you comprehend? Did you come out of seclusion without fully comprehending it? Master knows. Xiaohua immediately smiled apologetically. Disciple just came out of seclusion. I missed Master, so I came to the inner valley. Don't try to be glib. Helpless, Xiaohua didn't answer. Knowing that Xiaohua hadn't made any progress, he didn't dare to say more. Instead, he scolded. If you could use your glib tongue on cultivation, I'm afraid you wouldn't be any worse than your senior brother Cui. When Xiaohua heard the Helpless mention of Cui Hongshan, he was a little unhappy in his heart, but he didn't dare to show it on his face. That's good too. Your second senior martial brother is going to have a dual cultivation ceremony with Dui Qiming of the Converging Thunder Palace in a month's time. It's good that you've come out of seclusion. Although your cultivation isn't high enough, you can still do some chores for my myriad Thunder Valley. Don't waste any more time here. Hurry back. Helplessly hesitating, he seemed to recall Zhen Shichao's ambiguous words. Without waiting for Xiaohua to speak, he continued to give orders. Yes, this disciple understands. Xiaohua bowed in salute, then turned around and flew out of the valley in a grandiose manner. Sai, when will you make this old man worry? Helplessly looking at Xiaohua's figure that could be considered fast flying, he shook his head and said, your cultivation hasn't made any progress, but your lightning evasion technique has improved. This guy only wants to escape? Xiaohua didn't know what Helplessly was thinking. As soon as he broke away from Helplessly's gaze, he immediately used the Bright Thunder Evasion to rush back to his cave. This young master's Bright Thunder Evasion. When Xiaohua used the Bright Thunder Evasion, there was a faint sound of wind and thunder. Moreover, when magic power was sent out from his meridians, there was also some lightning. Xiaohua actually felt that his Bright Thunder Evasion was about to advance again. Why is this? Xiaohua's eyes turned rapidly, but he couldn't figure out the reason. After all, he had done too many things on Jilei Peak. Who knew which aspect had promoted the progress of the Bright Thunder Evasion? However, since his lightning evasion technique had entered the Thunderclap realm from the Thunderclap realm, he was also extremely happy. As long as he reached the Thunderclap realm, even if he ran into an early nascent soul cultivator like Taoist Jingru, he would be able to calmly escape. Ha ha ha, Xiaohua laughed heartily as he flew back to his cave. Outside the cave, there were several summoning talismans. Xiaohua crushed the summoning talismans. 3 of them were from Qian Diheng. This guy didn't have anything else to say, only asking when he could get the face-retaining pill for 3 years in a row. Another one was from Sun Shu, only asking if Xiaohua had exited seclusion. The remaining one was from Shueshui. Shueshui's summoning talisman was even shorter. Husband, I haven't completely exited seclusion. Today, Master had an urgent matter and called me out, so I came over to take a look. I didn't expect that husband was actually in seclusion. I'm very relieved. I hope that after husband exits seclusion, you'll have another level of cultivation. If you run into that old ghost Jingru again, you'll be able to kill him with one sword strike. Not only did the summoning talisman not mention anything else, there was also no worry in her tone. It seemed that Shueshui was at ease with everything about Xiaohua. So much so that Shueshui believed that as long as Xiaohua exited seclusion, he would definitely have the cultivation to kill Taoist Jingru. Good, my wife's tone isn't small. The pressure on husband's shoulders is very heavy. Xiaohua snickered in his heart. Right now, his cultivation was only at the late stage of foundation establishment, and his realm had just stabilized. In terms of strength, he wasn't inferior to those in the middle or late stage of Jindan. However, if he was truly compared to an early-stage nascent soul cultivator, there was still a big difference. Xiaohua was already unable to close his mouth from being able to easily escape from Taoist Jingru's hands. How could he dare to say that he could kill a nascent soul cultivator with a raise of his hand? Perhaps he would have to enter seclusion for 100 years to accomplish that. That's right. Why can't this young master enter seclusion for 100 years? Suddenly, Xiaohua himself was also stunned. He was free and unfettered on Jilei Peak. After being struck by 10,000 lightning bolts, not only did his Buddha Saraira make substantial progress, it was nearly 2.5 feet tall. Even the golden liquid inside it was filled with a lot. Moreover, his bone tempering technique was also slowly making progress. Although Xiaohua himself couldn't see, the orange color in his bones was already more than 10%. Besides, his Phoenix Dharma body and Celestial body bestowment technique had also made progress. Moreover, his several primordial spirits each had their own responsibilities and were all comprehending. He only needed to enter seclusion for 100 years, and perhaps he could really break through to Jindan. If he entered seclusion for 1,000 years, could he also look forward to nascent soul and spirit severing stage? Should this young master go and inquire about the situation? And sneak in again? Xiaohua stroked his chin and thought to himself. However, before entering seclusion, I still need to look for some medicinal pills. The earth crystal Yao milk is already not enough. It shouldn't be enough to support me until the core formation stage. Finished thinking, Xiaohua sent a summoning talisman to Qian Diheng and opened the restriction of his immortal's cave. He didn't go inside and directly flew towards the immortal's cave that faced the sun. Chapter 2198. Sure enough, Xiang Yang and Yan Qinglian were both in the abode. Even the annoying Cui Hongshan was there. However, when he saw Xiaohua, Cui Hongshan only asked, "You're out?" He didn't say anything more. After informing Xiang Yang, he left without saying a word. Tisk, Xiaohua curled his lips and said unhappily, "Why is this guy everywhere? Little brother just came out and was in a good mood. Then I met this guy and ruined my good mood for no reason." Xiang Yang didn't seem to hear him. He looked Xiaohua up and down and shook his head. "Little junior brother, why didn't you make any progress in your cultivation?" "What progress?" Yan Qinglian glared at Xiang Yang and said quickly, "As long as junior brother Xiao stabilizes his realm, isn't having no hidden dangers better than anything else?" "Hee, thank you for your concern." Xiaohua cupped his hands and said, "Little brother indeed didn't pay too much attention to cultivation. Little brother's realm has already stabilized, and the hidden dangers in my body have all been removed." "Great," Xiang Yang said with a smile. "As long as your realm is stabilized, your cultivation can slowly improve. This is better than anything else." "Oh right, eldest senior brother, little brother just met master." He said Cui Hongshan and Dui Qiming are going to dual cultivate? Is there anything little brother can help with? Xiaohua hurriedly changed the topic. Seeing Xiaohua calling out Cui Hongshan and Dui Qiming like 3 years ago, Yan Qinglian could only smile bitterly. She looked at Xiangyang and said, "Actually, it's nothing much. Our Imperial Thunder Sect's dual cultivation ceremony has a fixed ceremony. When the time comes, we just need to follow Thunderclap Palace's rules and do it step by step. The most important thing now is to send the betrothal gift to Dui Qiming and get junior sister Dui's approval. As long as she receives the betrothal gift, this matter will be considered half done. However, according to junior brother Cui, junior sister Dui is fine, but her master doesn't think highly of our myriad Thunder Valley. Back then, junior brother Cui wanted to use that item as a betrothal gift to shut her master's mouth." Xiangyang smiled again and said, "Of course, the item that junior brother Xiao took out after that was suitable for female cultivators. In my opinion, not to mention junior sister Dui's master, even martial aunt Dui Jie's mouth would not be a problem. In other words, there's nothing little brother can do?" Xiaohua was quite happy in his heart, but his face was cold. It seemed that he was not happy to be able to help Cui Hongshan. But how could Xiangyang and Yan Qinglian miss such a good opportunity to repair the relationship between Xiaohua and Cui Hongshan? They said in unison. "How could that be? There are still many things that we need junior brother Zhao's help with. Don't worry." Just as they were talking, a transmission talisman flew over. It really was Xiaohua. Xiaohua received it and gave it a look, saying with a smile, "All right, eldest apprentice brother. Qian Diheng, that scoundrel, knows that this little brother has come out of seclusion and has brought a bunch of disciples of the Heavenly Thunder Hall over. Little brother is going to welcome them. Will eldest senior brother and senior sister-in-law be coming as well? Let your eldest senior brother go over." Yan Qinglian pretended to be in a hurry. "When you're done over there, hurry over and help." "Yes." Xiaohua smiled and followed Xiangyang back to the cave. After a long while Qian Diheng came. Not only did he come alone, a group of disciples of the Heavenly Thunder Hall indeed followed behind him. However, these disciples were far from the few that Xiaohua had imagined, but rather more than 10. "Senior brother Qian, this is seeing Qian Diheng come over with more than 10 aura-refining disciples." Xiaohua was a bit stupefied. He blinked his eyes and asked in confusion, "Oh, it's nothing." Qian Diheng smiled slightly at Xiaohua, then turned his head and said to those disciples, "You all go and settle down. Just follow the arrangement of this Qian's cave, and put whatever you need to put wherever you need to be." "Yes, we'll follow Martial Uncle's instructions," those disciples answered, then bowed toward Xiaohua and Xiangyang again before entering Xiaohua's cave like a swarm of bees. "Hee junior brother Xiao. Senior brother is very kind, right?" Qian Diheng said proudly. "I know that your cave is as poor as a church mouse, so I specially brought my disciples here today to help you tidy up your cave." "Haha, it's true." Xiaohua saw the group of disciples fly into the immortal's cave in an orderly manner. They flew to different places and took out jade chairs, jade tables, decorations, and other things from their storage pouches to decorate the entire immortal's cave. In just a moment, the immortal's cave that was said to be desolate suddenly became lively and lively. "Many thanks, senior brother Qian," Xiaohua said with a smile. "What about that thing?" Qian Diheng looked at Xiaohua anxiously. "You've been in closed-door training for 3 years. I've been anxiously waiting for you." "Teach." Xiaohua waved his hand and took out a storage bag. He said with a smile, "Is there a need? It's as if you've never seen any spirit stones before." "Of course there's a need." Qian Diheng happily took it and rolled his eyes at Xiaohua. "Don't look at me as a disciple of the Heavenly Thunder Hall. The Heavenly Thunder Hall's disciples also don't have many surplus stones. Ah. At the end, Qian Diheng cried out in astonishment, his eyes full of joy. TSK, you seem to have never seen the world." Xiaohua mocked. "Is there a need?" Yes, there really isn't a need." Qian Diheng hurriedly received the storage bag and said with an apologetic smile, "I've been thinking for a long time, but I've never thought that I would get so many at once. This thing. I still have to carefully plan how to earn even more spirit stones." What other plans do you have? Xiaohua asked curiously. Speaking of this, junior brother Xiao doesn't understand. Qian Diheng said mysteriously. One spirit stone is naturally precious, but if 100 suddenly appear, perhaps it's also precious. But what about 1,000? Wouldn't the amount of spirit stones be a lot less all of a sudden? Oh, this Xiao understands. Xiaohua was also a petty person, so how could he not understand what Qian Diheng said? Raising his thumb, he said, Senior brother Qian is so awesome. Of course. Qian Diheng smiled. Don't you know what kind of person I am? What kind of person? Xiaohua said with a beaming smile. This little brother doesn't care who you are. You took something, shouldn't you give me the spirit stones first? This Qian Diheng smiled bitterly and stretched out his hands, saying helplessly, This brother thought that the gift I brought was enough, and you might not be able to open your mouth. But I didn't expect you to take out so much. This brother didn't prepare enough. What gift? Ah, just these? These are all this young master's own spirit stones. Xiaohua stared blankly at first, then his heart ached and he hurriedly said, Stop, stop, this young master's own spirit stones. Why are you still bowing? Just give me some random stones. In any case, this young master didn't make them himself. Junior brother Xiao. Xiangyang frowned and scolded. This is junior brother Qian's kind intentions, and these things are also worth a lot of spirit stones. Besides, taking 10,000 steps back, this immortal cave of yours will be decorated sooner or later, so spending some spirit stones is nothing. But Xiaohua was anxious. Senior brother, you don't know what this guy took from this little brother. So much. Cough cough, junior brother Xiaohua. Didn't you hear what senior brother said? Sooner or later, it's going to be decorated, so who doesn't benefit from you? Why not let this brother benefit? Besides, this brother also didn't say that I won't give you spirit stones. Just wait for a few days. Qian Diheng said in all seriousness, and took a few steps closer to Xiangyang. Is there anyone as shameless as you? Xiaohua didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This young master has traveled to so many places in Xiaoyu continent, but there really isn't one that can compare to you. Reporting to martial uncle, everything has been arranged. Just as Xiaohua and Qian Diheng were talking, the disciples of Heavenly Thunder Palace had already arranged the entire immortal cave, and they all came out to report. And good. Qian Diheng nodded in satisfaction, and said to Xiaohua, Junior brother Xiao, this brother still has some matters to attend to in the palace, so I won't stay here any longer. After saying that, Qian Diheng cupped his hands towards Xiangyang, turned around and was about to fly away. Damn it, you want to run away? Come back here. How could Xiaohua let him go? With a flick of his robe, Qian Diheng was immediately restrained by Qian Diheng's sleeve technique. Seeing that Qian Diheng was restrained by Xiaohua without any strength to fight back, Xiangyang and the people of Heavenly Thunder Palace were all smiles, thinking that Qian Diheng simply didn't have any strength to resist. But Qian Diheng himself was endlessly shocked. He was very clear in his heart that Xiaohua, who he hadn't seen for several years, was a lot more powerful than the last time he went out for experience with him. Hehe, junior brother Xiao, what do you think? Qian Diheng didn't expose this matter, and only said with a smile, Today this brother only took an empty storage pouch, and didn't take any magic tools, magic treasures and the like. There wasn't even a single spirit stone. If you like it, take this protective armor of this brother's. Yu Xiaohua stretched out his hand, and sure enough, there wasn't even a single spirit stone in Qian Diheng's storage pouch. It was really empty. Really shameless, ah. Xiaohua was really helpless, and took that storage pouch saying, I'll give you a storage pouch. This storage pouch is naturally left for me. Immediately after, Xiaohua flicked his sleeve again, and withdrew the magic. After thinking for a moment, he transmitted a few words to Qian Diheng. When Qian Diheng heard this, a trace of divine light appeared in his eyes, and soon after he shook his head with a bitter smile, and also transmitted a message. Junior brother Xiao, it's not that this brother doesn't want to help you. That face-retaining pills pill formula is nothing but Reliance Lotus pill, Cyan Spirit pill, and other late-stage foundation establishment pills. Really? It's impossible for this brother to get the pill formula. Immediately after, Qian Diheng smiled apologetically again, saying, "What? Junior brother Xiao, this cyan spirit pill. Are you going to take it yourself, or give it to your master? I heard that you were very unhappy in front of master. Why do you care so much?" Xiaohua glared at him, saying, "You can't even get the pill formula of cyan spirit pill, and you still call yourself a disciple of Heavenly Thunder Palace." Qian Diheng also didn't explain much and asked again, "If you want this, brother can get you the cyan spirit pill, but you have to exchange it with your spirit stones." Thinking for a moment, Xiaohua shook his head, saying, "Forget it, this younger brother just wants to flatter master. If you don't have it, then forget it." "All right." Qian Diheng didn't seem to believe what Xiaohua said, and cupped his hands, saying, "Junior brother Xiao, if there's nothing else, this brother will leave first. And let's go. Let's go, this younger brother doesn't keep food here." Xiaohua unhappily waved his hand and said, "Don't look at how calm Qian Diheng's face was, as if he was beaten by Xiaohua, but in his heart, he was mad with joy. The face-retaining pills that Xiaohua gave him in his storage pouch were really many, and it was really enough for him to be busy. Besides, Qian Diheng never felt that it was abnormal to be beaten by Xiaohua. Come to vote for recommendation, monthly votes. Chapter 2199. Hihi, let's go. Let me take a look at your cave. Xiang Yang looked at Xiaohua's dejected expression, and didn't ask what he said to Qian Diheng. He sent a message to Yan Qinglian and asked with a smile, "Senior brother, please." Xiaohua looked at Xiang Yang's rare expression of schadenfreude, and said with a shrug, "Oh my god." Although Xiang Yang was already prepared, after walking in, he still almost stuck his tongue in his mouth. Although it was generally the decoration of an immortal's cave, the details and things inside were indeed completely different. Xiaohua's immortal's cave was much more gorgeous than his own, and even his own immortal's cave. Looking at Xiaohua again, his face was full of bitterness, as if he was about to cry. "How many spirit stones is this? That goddamn Qian Diheng, this is robbery." Xiaohua wanted to cry but had no tears. "Oh junior brother, this is really a big deal." Not long after, Yan Qinglian came over as well. She looked around happily and said, "Your cave abode is even more luxurious than your eldest senior brothers, junior brother Chui's, and even master's. Senior sister, these are all spirit stones." Xiaohua finally found a soulmate. TSK, where did you get so many spirit stones?" Yan Qinglian covered her mouth and asked with a smile. Xiaohua waved his hand and said, "It's all from Qian Diheng. Sai, forget it, let's not talk about it." Xiaohua invited Xiang Yang and Yan Qinglian to take a seat. Seeing that the jade table next to the jade chair was already filled with spiritual tea and other things, Xiang Yang didn't stand on ceremony. He poured himself a cup, took a sip and said with a smile, "This spiritual tea is not bad. Senior brother, you don't have to be polite. If you like it, just take it." Xiaohua said with a smile, "Now this cave belongs to me. You don't have to be polite with me." Hihi. Xiang Yang curled his lips and put the spirit tea on the jade table. He felt that if he took it, the stingy Xiaohua would definitely be distressed. But he was still wrong. Xiaohua could even take out the Thunder Beast's core. What was this spirit tea? The three chatted for a while. Yan Qinglian repeatedly pulled the topic to Cui Hongshan's dual cultivation. But Xiaohua always avoided it and deliberately avoided it. Just as Yan Qinglian was thinking of a way, Xiang Yang's message came. "Let's go. Master has something to tell us." Xiang Yang glanced at them and said with a smile, "I'm afraid it's about junior brother Chui's dual cultivation arrangement." "All right," Xiaohua helplessly ordered. He didn't dare to disobey. When Xiaohua and Xiang Yang arrived at the Immortal's Cave, everyone in the Myriad Thunder Valley was there. Xiaohua greeted Zhuo Minghui and answered a few questions. Without hesitation, he sat down next to Yan Qinglian, facing Cui Hongshan and Xiang Yang. Helplessly, his face darkened again. However, he glanced at Zhuo Minghui, who was signaling him with her eyes, and asked plainly, "Xiang Yang, how's the matter with your second junior brother? It's about time for the agreement with the converted Thunder Palace." "All right, teacher understands. Everything is ready." We just need to wait for junior brother Chui to bring the list of betrothal gifts over. And for Martial Uncle Dui to nod his head. Then, we can report to the deafening Thunder Palace and begin the dual cultivation ceremony. Helplessly he nodded in satisfaction. This old man has many matters to attend to, so I'll have to trouble you. I don't dare. Xiangyang hurriedly said modestly. He looked at Chui Hongshan and said, we should let junior brother Chui make a trip to the converted Thunder Palace and see how junior sister Dui will break it down. If possible, we can send the betrothal gifts at any time. Sai helplessly waved his hand and said somewhat helplessly, don't be anxious. Who knows if there will be any changes? Teacher, what do you mean? Chui Hongshan was a little anxious when he heard this and stood up. Oh. Xiaohua was stunned at first, but then he became happy. He laughed inwardly. Could it be that Dui Qiming has a change of heart? Hongshan, don't be anxious. Helplessly waved his hand and repeated Zhen Shichao's words. He frowned and said, this martial Uncle Zhen's words are indeed a little difficult to understand. This old man also doesn't know, teacher. Why do you care about them? We only care about the betrothal gifts. Chui Hongshan hurriedly said before helplessly could finish. Helplessly nodded as though he had already made a decision. He said to Xiangyang, it wasn't supposed to be a date, but there seems to be some unforeseen circumstances. It's better to bring it forward. Make the preparations. When Hongshan returns from Dui Thunder Palace, immediately bring him to Seismic Thunder Palace to report. Yes, this disciple understands. Xiangyang hurriedly stood up. This disciple will go make the preparations now. Good. Helplessly waved his hand and indicated for his disciples to leave. However, at this moment, a purple-red light flew past, and there was a faint sound of wind and thunder. 100,000 fire urgent thunder note talisman? Helplessly was shocked. He hurriedly stood up from the jade chair and respectfully reached out to receive it. Thunder Tablet Spiritual Master's voice came from the Thunder Note Talisman. All disciples of Seismic Thunder Palace, stop everything and head to Seismic Thunder Palace. Yes, this disciple understands. Helplessly bowed and turned to Xiangyang. You don't make the preparations first. Wait for this old man to return. Helplessly, he flew up and left the cave. The people of Myriad Thunder Valley looked at each other, and Chui Hongshan was even more disappointed. He understood that something big must have happened in Imperial Thunder Sect, and that was why Zhen Shichao said those words. Teacher's wife, what happened? Xiaohua was gloating and couldn't help but ask in a low voice. Zhuo Minghui shook her head slightly. I don't know either. Immediately after, she thought for a while and said, in my memory, it seems that Thunder Tablet Spiritual Master only issued a Thunder Note Talisman that all disciples of Seismic Thunder Palace must gather at the beginning of the Battle of Imperial Demon Valley. Oh, Xiaohua asked curiously. There seems to be a long time until the next Battle of Imperial Demon Valley? Yes, so I don't know. Zhuo Minghui nodded and comforted. Don't panic, you are just Foundation Establishment cultivators. Even if it's the Battle of Imperial Demon Valley, it's not your turn to participate. Yes, this disciple understands. Xiaohua nodded. At this moment, Chui Hongshan couldn't sit still anymore. After thinking for a while he said, Teacher's wife, this disciple wants to send a message talisman to Qiming and ask her what happened. Yes, send it. Zhuo Minghui smiled. Perhaps Converted Thunder Palace has some news. However, not long after, Dui Qiming replied with a message talisman. She also didn't know what happened. Xiaohua originally didn't want to inquire, but seeing Chui Hongshan's disappointment, he smiled and said, Teacher's wife, this disciple will also send a message talisman. How could Zhuo Minghui not know Xiaohua's narrow-mindedness? Originally, she didn't want him to send it, but seeing Chui Hongshan's restless appearance, she smiled and said, then send it. Not long after, Qian Dihing's message talisman came back. Seeing it, Xiaohua unconsciously jumped down from his chair and said in surprise, Ah? Huan country's sword cultivators are attacking? What? Sword cultivators? Zhuo Minghui and the others were shocked when they heard it. Why did sword cultivators come to make trouble? A battle of swords. It seems like it hasn't happened for tens of thousands of years, right? Chapter 2200. Is your information accurate? Cui Hongshan's face turned cold as he asked, "Don't spout nonsense." "Believe it or not." Xiao Hua raised his summoning talisman and said, "Heavenly Thunder Palace is definitely more well-informed than Exchange Thunder Palace." Then he glanced at him and said, "But don't panic. According to Qian Diheng, my Imperial Thunder Sect is going to send disciples to fight with sword cultivators. These disciples are also very particular. Those who haven't broken through for a long time are the first choice. Qi refinement. There are also many disciples above the 10th layer of Qi refinement. There are very few disciples like my myriad Thunder Valley, so disciples who have just broken through won't be chosen." "Oh, so it's like that." Cui Hongshan sighed in relief. Of course, myriad Thunder Valley only had 3 disciples, which was very few. Moreover, one of the eldest disciples had just advanced to the middle stage of foundation establishment 10 years ago, and the other 2 disciples had just advanced to the early stage of foundation establishment. It was impossible to choose the myriad Thunder Valley's disciples. Qi Meng is also a famous disciple of Exchange Thunder Palace, so I'm afraid she won't be chosen either. Zhuo Minghui's heart also relaxed, and she said to Cui Hongshan with a smile, "Zhenshi, Martial Uncle Qiao Zhen's intention should be to postpone your dual cultivation ceremony until these disciples set off. Hongshan, you shouldn't worry about personal gains and losses." "And disciple understands," Cui Hongshan said with a smile, his face clear up. "Why do Qi refinement disciples also have to go?" Xiao Hua asked in a low voice. "Their cultivation levels are low. Humph, what do you know?" Cui Hongshan sneered. "When the sword sect attacks, every sect and even every cultivation sect will send disciples to participate. However, who would send out their elite disciples? Those disciples with potential who can develop are all hidden in the sect, and only those disciples who have no hope of advancing are sent out. Moreover, every sect cares about the number of people, so who knows what the cultivation levels of the disciples you send out are like? Aren't those Qi refinement disciples just there to make up the numbers? Besides, they can't even reach foundation establishment, so it's better for them to fight with sword cultivators. Maybe they can comprehend something during the battle, and maybe even reach foundation establishment." Xiao Hua knew what Cui Hongshan said was the truth. He smiled wryly and shook his head. "In that case, not only will the disciples we send be in danger, even those aura-refining disciples most likely won't be able to return alive?" "Yes, that's right." Cui Hongshan nodded. "The 10th layer of Qi refining is already a threshold. Any lower, and I won't be able to bring it out. Let other sects look down on my Imperial Thunder Sect. But if they were to fight against a sword cultivator, there would be a price to pay. Besides, not all sword cultivators are high-level swordsmen. They also have low-level swordsmen. Aren't these aura-refining disciples going to fight against them?" "Yes." Xiao Hua was silent. After all, the majority of low-level cultivators on the Daybreak continent were low-level cultivators. When sword cultivators and Dao sect cultivators fought, although those high-level cultivators had a decisive effect, they couldn't be completely relied on. Sometimes, low-level cultivators were also chess pieces that could win by surprise on the battlefield. "Io," Xiao Hua suddenly thought, but then he smiled again. Qian Diheng wasn't flustered at all. He naturally wouldn't be chosen. His jade slip also didn't mention Shui, so she naturally wouldn't be in danger. Besides, Shui's master was Sun Ming, an early-stage Aurus Core cultivator. She also had some status in Sun Lei Palace, so she could protect Shui from being sent out. Besides, Shui had just built her foundation, and was in closed-door cultivation. Sun Lei Palace wouldn't kill the goose that lays the golden eggs. "Right, master's wife. What's Martial Uncle Sun Ming's cultivation level now?" Xiao Hua suddenly asked. "Oh, it said that he just advanced to the middle stage of Aurus Core 2 years ago." Zhuo Minghui smiled and said, "No need to worry about Shui. A middle stage Aurus Core disciple won't be easily sent out." "Then what about late-stage foundation building cultivators with many disciples?" Xiao Hua glanced at Cui Hongshan and said faintly, "Probably not." Zhuo Minghui saw Cui Hongshan's expression change slightly, so she hurriedly answered. Humph, now that you have some free time, you'd better worry about your own cultivation. Cui Hongshan snorted coldly. Fortunately, you built your foundation. Otherwise, you'd definitely have a share this time. If you go, my myriad Thunder Valley's disciples will wither even more. Cui Hongshan, if I go, I'll also be going to fight sword cultivators. How do you know I won't be able to return? Xiao Hua retorted sarcastically. I definitely won't let you be alone. I'll definitely be able to return safely. Whether you return or not depends on the sword cultivator's flying sword, not your mouth. Cui Hongshan also said coldly. With your early-stage foundation building cultivation, you haven't made any progress in 10 years. Going out to fight sword cultivators is just one word. There won't be any other result. Hee, if I'm like this, what about you? Xiao Hua curled his lips even more. You can't be that strong either. It's still all right. Xiang Yang also wiped his forehead and said rejoicingly, little junior brother built his foundation at the beginning of his experiential learning. Thunderous Palace also didn't know, otherwise what? A helpless voice sounded. Otherwise he wouldn't have been sent out? Master. Xiang Yang and the others hurriedly got up and went over. However, they saw Helpless' extremely gloomy face, and he flew somewhat slowly. Seeing this, Xiao Hua's heart thumped. Not good. As expected, Helpless first glanced at Xiao Hua with a complicated expression. Without even entering the cave, he asked, how do you know my Dao sect is going to fight sword cultivators? Yes, Master knows. It's a message talisman sent by Qian Diheng of Heavenly Thunder Palace. Xiao Hua said honestly. And then, Qian Diheng, Martial Uncle Qian owes you a favor. Helpless nodded. You should send a message talisman to Qian Diheng, and see if Martial Uncle Qian can speak up for you. Ah? It can't be. Xiao Hua stared blankly, puzzled. You really have disciples? I just advanced to early-stage foundation building. Moreover, my myriad Thunder Valley only has 3 disciples. You're sending them out just like that? Is there a need for this? Helpless smiled bitterly. My myriad Thunder Valley only has 3 disciples. This time, we're sending out 2 at once. Me? Cui Hongshan stared blankly, his mouth almost half open. He felt that it was inconceivable. Xiao Hua was sent out because he hadn't been able to advance for many years. On the other hand, his own cultivation had been steadily increasing all this time. Yes. Helpless, he took out a jade archive and waved it in front of his eyes. It's you and Xiao Hua, 2 disciples of my myriad Thunder Valley, who just advanced to early-stage foundation building. Husband, Zhuo Minghui said anxiously. Is there a mistake? You should explain to Lei Mingzhenren. Our myriad Thunder Valley has few disciples, and they just advanced to foundation building. How can we send them out? Hee, do you think your husband doesn't want to explain? Helpless, he smiled bitterly and stepped into the cave. Your husband only received this jade archive. I didn't even see anyone's face. I heard that Lei Mingzhenren already closed his palace, and didn't want to see anyone. The list of people to be sent out has already been confirmed. There's no possibility of changing it. Helpless, he looked at Xiao Hua and said, if Senior Gantian can speak, Xiao Hua might have a chance. Sigh. Xiao Hua sighed. When Gantian got Zhongyao's milk, he had already given him the spiritual armor and the jade scroll. He had already returned the favor. If he sent a message to Qian Diheng, it wouldn't make things difficult for him. But if Gantian saw it, would he speak up for him? Even if he spoke up, he had no choice. Even Lei Mingzhenren had closed his palace. How could Gantian speak up? It was best not to send such a message. Xiao Hua sighed. Cui Hongshan's face turned even more ashen. He knew clearly that Dao sect was at a disadvantage against sword cultivators. As an early-stage foundation-building cultivator, he only had a little more confidence than an energy-refining disciple. Speaking of which, high-level swordsmen might not attack energy-refining disciples, but against foundation-building disciples, they definitely wouldn't show mercy. He had a higher chance of dying than energy-refining disciples. Sigh, I don't know if that child Qiming Zhuo Minghui also felt that something was wrong. Wait a moment. Helpless, he waved his hand. There will be news soon. Right now there is chaos everywhere. Asking more will only make things more troublesome. After saying that, he looks at Xiaohua's indifferent appearance. Feeling both helpless and angry, he scolds. Xiaohua, you little brat. Your second martial brother doesn't have any connections, and there's no other way. You have the Heavenly Thunder Palace's connections. Why don't you try? Do you want to anger me to death? You want me to accept another disciple? Forget it, Zhuo Minghui said in a low voice. It's better to ask for help than to ask for help. It's hard to ask for help, and you have to look at other people's faces. If Xiaohua doesn't ask for help, then forget it. Ask for help? How can he ask for help? This time, he was lucky that Jinren Jingxi didn't kill him, so he saved his life. Helpless, he almost jumped up. How can there be such a good thing in the Sword Catacomb? If he leaves the Imperial Thunder Sect, there will be no other path. He will definitely be buried in the Sword Catacomb. Master, you want me to die in the Sword Catacomb so much? Xiaohua smiled bitterly. You think I want to? I'm willing to go in your place. Helpless said angrily. But I can't go. Damn it. I haven't condensed my core yet. I'm not a gold core cultivator. I'm not a direct disciple of the Thunder Palace. Helpless suddenly stood up and roared. I'm going to use my lightning core. I'm going to condense my core. I don't have to wait in the Thunder Palace to see if there's any chance to keep you two disappointing disciples in the 10,000 Thunder Valley. I can't even protect two good-for-nothing disciples. After saying that, Helpless suddenly flew up and headed out of the cave. Ah? Master! Xiaohua was stunned, Cui Hongshan was stunned, and Xiangyang was also stunned. Zhuo Minghui woke up quickly. She hurriedly flew up and chased after him, shouting, Old man! Why are you running? Watching Zhuo Minghui and Helpless leave, Xiaohua looked at Xiangyang, Cui Hongshan also looked at Xiangyang, and the three of them looked at each other. Helpless. A peak late-stage foundation establishment cultivator actually revealed his feelings in front of so many disciples. This was indeed because he was forced into helplessness in the Thunder Palace. There was no way to not reveal the true feelings in his heart. Come to vote for it. Chapter 2201. Why aren't you sending a message talisman? Cui Hongshan said coldly. If you can stay, perhaps Master's mood will be better. Why should I send a message talisman? Xiaohua said coldly. I'm not a spineless person who is afraid of sword cultivators. I also want to let Master know that myriad Thunder Valley disciples are not afraid of being schemed against. Myriad Thunder Valley disciples can live well under other people's schemes. Even if Xiaohua had the intention to send a message talisman, seeing Master's helpless expression, he would never send it out. Humph, you only know how to make Master angry. Cui Hongshan rebuked angrily. What else can you do? What spineless person, if spineless Master can? At this moment, another message talisman flew in and landed in Cui Hongshan's hand. Cui Hongshan's expression changed greatly, and when he finished reading the message talisman, he looked as if he had lost his parents. What's wrong? Junior brother Cui. Yan Qinglian said anxiously. Is it Qimeng? And, Cui Hongshan said with a gloomy face. Qimeng, she was also sent out. 4 of them have been chosen. Alas, Yan Qinglian sighed, feeling bitter in her heart. She knew that Dui Qimeng had encountered the same situation as Cui Hongshan. Then what about your dual cultivation? Yan Qinglian probed again. Qimeng already said in the Jade Slip that from today onwards, all disciples of the Thunder Palace can't go into seclusion, and can't do anything unrelated to preparation. Cui Hongshan said bitterly, the dual cultivation ceremony can't be held either. Shouldn't you at least give a betrothal gift first? Xiangyang suggested. Alas, senior brother. Why talk about betrothal gifts at this time? Wait until we come back alive. Cui Hongshan clapped his hands, took out 2 jade boxes, and handed them to Xiangyang. Senior brother, you should keep this thunder pill. When we go out, I'm afraid we will die. It's safer to leave this thing in Myriad Thunder Valley. Then he looked at Xiaohua, obviously wanting Xiaohua to take out the thunder pill. However, Xiaohua didn't even spare him a glance. His gaze was fixed on the outside of the cave. Xiangyang also looked at Xiaohua. Seeing that Xiaohua didn't move, he hurriedly blocked with his hand and said, Junior brother Cui, this is your thing. You should take it with you. What if you can take the inner core during this period? Wouldn't that be an additional life-saving asset? How is that possible? Cui Hongshan shook his head and said, I know myself well, unlike some people. I've only just reached the early stage of foundation establishment, so I won't be able to step into the middle stage of foundation establishment in a short period of time. Even if I do, I won't be able to take such a strong inner core. Leaving this thing with me will only benefit a sword cultivator. It's better to leave it to a descendant of the myriad Thunder Valley. Seeing that Cui Hongshan's attitude was extremely firm, Xiangyang was also helpless. He took it and said with a forced smile, This? I'll take it for the time being. Let's wait for Master to come back first. I won't take it anymore. Cui Hongshan sighed and quickly walked out of the cave. Seeing that there was no one in the cave, Xiangyang glanced at Yan Qinglian, as if asking for her opinion. Yan Qinglian nodded slightly, and Xiangyang waved his hand, and a silencing restriction appeared. Eldest senior brother, what are you doing? Xiaohua was releasing his Buddhist sense and quietly looking into the distance. Helplessly, he sat on a pine tree and looked at the dark clouds in the distance with extreme helplessness. Zhuo Minghui accompanied him like a little bird, leaning her head on helplessly's shoulder. Seeing Xiangyang like this, he couldn't help but feel surprised. Junior brother Xiao, now that things have come to this, I have no choice but to ask you, Xiangyang said in a low voice. You have to tell me honestly your cultivation. What level has it reached? You can't tell Master, but you can tell me. Don't worry, I definitely won't leak it to you. Even if Master asks, I won't say. Haha, Xiaohua laughed and waved his hand, using the heaven and earth in the sleeve to easily break the silencing restriction. He also walked out of the cave. Is this very important? Junior brother Xiao, wait. Xiangyang hurriedly chased after Xiaohua and shouted. Of course this is very important. I don't think so. As Xiaohua spoke, his figure had already left the cave, and he didn't intend to look back. How could he not know what Xiangyang was thinking? Since the two disciples of the myriad Thunder Valley went out together, one of them had to protect the other. Needless to say, Xiangyang wanted him to protect Cui Hongshan. Xiaohua just didn't like Cui Hongshan, so how could he agree to this? Husband. Yan Qinglian hurriedly pulled Xiangyang's sleeve and said, Don't chase after him. What? Xiangyang was a bit anxious. Xiaohua is too insensible. Even now he still hasn't explained his background to us clearly. Alas, husband. You're really too anxious. Yan Qinglian stretched out her hand and used the silencing restriction, saying, Why don't you break this concubine's restriction? How can your husband? Xiangyang frowned and reprimanded her. But then he came to a realization and said, Wife, you mean nonsense. Yan Qinglian felt exasperated at her husband's failure to live up to her expectations. She lowered her voice and said, Husband, junior martial brother Xiao was able to fight against 3 early-stage foundation establishment cultivators before he even built his foundation, and even killed one of them. After he built his foundation, he became even more powerful. He even broke the lightning beast's blood seal. How can you and I not know how strong he is? Why do you have to make him admit it? Moreover, he didn't even worry about Shui when he met a nascent soul cultivator in Guihi. Naturally, he has confidence in Xiaohua's strength. What do you think Xiaohua's current strength is? No, it can't be. Xiangyang didn't dare to voice out his doubts at this time. Xiaohua's cultivation can't be comparable to a nascent soul cultivator, right? That's impossible. Yan Qinglian shook her head. But as for Xiaohua's cultivation, you and I already talked about it before. There's no point in talking about it now. You don't have to say anything, especially about Xiaohua's cultivation. Now go to Xiaohua's cave and tell him about junior brother Cui. Don't worry, although Xiaohua is angry with junior brother Cui, if it really reaches the point of life and death, Xiaohua definitely won't stand by and watch. So you're saying that your husband doesn't even need to go? Xiangyang rolled his eyes. You're the eldest senior brother. You have to treat everyone equally. Words still need to be said, and things still need to be done. Yan Qinglian said with a smile. All right. Xiangyang nodded helplessly. You should open the restriction. Your husband isn't Xiao Hua. How can I casually open this restriction? Puffed. Yan Qinglian covered her mouth and laughed. She punched Xiangyang's shoulder and said, Why aren't you going? Hearing Xiangyang's persuasion, Xiao Hua didn't respond. He said indifferently, Ever since little brother Cui Hongshan built his foundation, I've already called him senior. His life and death has nothing to do with little brother. Chapter 2202. Junior brother Xiao. Just as Xiangyang was about to earnestly advise him, Xiao Hua raised his head and said, Master has already gone back. Eldest senior brother should also hurry back. See if master has anything else to say. Little brother is also vexed right now and wants some peace and quiet. Alas, all right. Xiangyang looked at his little junior brother, who had always been obedient in front of him. He didn't know why Xiao Hua lost his obedience when Cui Hongshan was mentioned. With a sigh, he solemnly placed the 2 jade boxes on the jade table and left with his head lowered. Big Xiao Hua raised his hand to stop Xiangyang, but when he saw Xiangyang's frown, he retracted his hand. Looking at Xiangyang's back gradually disappearing, he also frowned. After thinking for a moment, Xiao Hua still flicked his sleeves and kept the 2 jade boxes in his space. Immediately after, he sent out the 2 messaging talismans. However, just as the 2 messaging talismans flew out, another messaging talisman came. Xiao Hua took the messaging talisman and looked at it. It was from Sun Shu, asking if he was selected to be sent to fight with sword cultivators. A trace of hesitation appeared in Xiao Hua's eyes. After thinking for a moment, he honestly said it and sent out the other messaging talisman. In less than half a day, Sun Shu and Qian Diheng once again rushed over. As soon as Qian Diheng saw Xiao Hua, he shouted, Junior Martial Brother Xiao, this is really unreasonable. Your myriad Thunder Valley only has 3 disciples. How could you be chosen? Besides, you just built your foundation. Not only me. Xiao Hua sneered. Cui Hongshan was also selected. Damn it. Qian Diheng laughed and slapped his forehead. I'm afraid someone is scheming against your myriad Thunder Valley. And that's right. Xiao Hua nodded. Fortunately, eldest senior brother wasn't selected. That's very fortunate. It's impossible for senior brother Xiang to be selected. Qian Diheng shook his head. I heard that senior brother Xiang's son is very talented. Senior brother Xiang's husband is noble because of his son. He definitely won't be sent out. Both of you weren't selected? Xiao Hua asked curiously. Alas, junior brother Xiao knows. Sun Shu sighed. None of master's disciples were selected. Junior sister Shui is in seclusion and won't be selected. Don't worry. It's really unfair. Xiao Hua shook his head again. Fair. Qian Diheng sneered. Where is the fairness in this world? If there was fairness, Kuan Fian's matter would have been exposed long ago. Of course. Sun Shu also sneered. There are only 3 disciples in the myriad Thunder Valley. Now 2 disciples who have just built their foundation have been kicked out. Where is the fairness? Junior brother Xiao. Qian Diheng once again spoke in a sincere and heartfelt manner. This father had allowed you to enter my heavenly thunder palace in the past, but look at you now. I can't stop you even if I want to. It is said that Thunder Meng Daoist has already sealed himself in his palace, and will not meet anyone. You have to go. It's not just Reverend Lei Meng. All the palace masters are in seclusion, and even the sect masters are not showing their faces, Sun Shu said with a wry smile. It seems that all the seniors have their own difficulties. I don't have anything good to give you. Qian Diheng passes a storage pouch to Xiao Hua. Take these first. There's still half a year left. This elder brother will help you take a look, to see if there's anything else. Half a year. Xiao Hua was slightly startled. Why is there still half a year left? We're only selecting disciples now. There's still half a year before we head to the border with Hung Country. Our Dao sect has already started a war with Hung Country's sword cultivators, but Meng Country, Lian Country and other countries are also participating. They and the sects in the north of Shi Country have already sent their disciples over. Our Imperial Thunder sect can join the war after half a year. Sun Shu explained and also handed over a storage pouch, smiling apologetically. This concubine can't compare to junior brother Qian. This is also concubine's daily accumulation. Junior brother, please keep it. In another half a year, this concubine will also have these. Xiaohua hesitated for a moment before accepting it. This is Sun Shu's kind intention. He can't reject it no matter what. Xiaohua looked at Qian Diheng again, and didn't accept it. Instead, he said, "You'd better help me find those pills. The things in this storage pouch, I don't think this little brother will be interested in them." Yu Qian Diheng's eyes rolled, somewhat astonished, but he tactfully shut his mouth and nodded. This elder brother understands. This elder brother will go and collect them. And there's still half a year left. At that time, I'll give you some more things. Xiaohua nodded. Good. Qian Diheng turned around and left without hesitation. Sun Shu listened to the two of them talking about things she didn't understand, but she didn't seem to be angry. Her pair of beautiful eyes only looked at Xiaohua. After Qian Diheng left, Sun Shu said in a soft voice, "Xiaohua, actually there are some words this concubine shouldn't say. But if I don't say it, I'm afraid I won't have the chance to say it." Xiaohua acted as if he didn't hear it and said, "By the way, senior sister Sun, when will Xue Xue come out of seclusion?" Hearing this, Sun Shu secretly sighed in her heart. Knowing that Xiaohua didn't give her a chance to speak, she could only say, "At least 1 year, at most 4 years. Good." Xiaohua nodded and said word by word. This Xiao won't leave her any message talisman, but I ask senior sister Sun to tell her that this Xiao will definitely return safely. Sun Shu nodded sadly and said, "Okay, junior brother Xiao trusts this concubine so much. How can this concubine dare not to obey? And since that's the case, this Xiao also needs to make some preparations." Xiaohua stood up and said. Sun Shu knew that Xiaohua wanted to see them off, so she also said with a smile, "This concubine will go back now. When you leave the Imperial Thunder Sect, this concubine will come to see you off." Good. Xiaohua smiled and nodded. After a day, he helplessly called Xiaohua and Cui Hongshan to his cave residence and handed them 2 storage pouches. He said with a forced smile, "This is what Master can give you. You can keep it. I'm afraid that the Thunder Palace's reward will only be given when you go to war." "Many thanks, Master." At this time, Cui Hongshan seemed to have thought it through and calmly received it. Xiaohua took the storage pouch and tied it to his waist without even looking at it. He asked, "Master, there's still more than half a year before we go to Huan Country. Can we leave the Imperial Thunder Sect?" "What do you want to do?" Xiaohua frowned helplessly. This disciple knows that this trip is dangerous and wants to take advantage of the time before we leave the Imperial Thunder Sect to go somewhere else to do some things. In addition, I also want to make some preparations and go to the auction to find some medicinal pills. Xiaohua said without hiding anything. "You want to use this as an excuse to escape." Cui Hongshan didn't hold back his disdain and said coldly, "Loose cultivators are loose cultivators." Junior brother Cui. Xiangyang was shocked. Without waiting for Xiaohua to speak, he immediately scolded, "Xiaohua is your senior brother from the same sect. How can you say that to him?" Humph, he clearly knows that all the selected disciples are grounded and can't even go into seclusion, but he still wants to leave the Imperial Thunder Sect. If he's not running away, what else can he do? Cui Hongshan didn't understand why Xiangyang suddenly scolded him and defended himself. "You shut up," Xiangyang said anxiously. "How can I not know what kind of person Xiaohua is? If he says he has something to do, then he must have something to do." Yes, Cui Hongshan saw that Xiangyang was so angry. Although he felt disdain in his heart, he didn't dare to talk back in front of Xiaohua. And Xiaohua ignored the two and stared at Xiaohua for a long time. Then he said word by word, "Xiaohua, tell me, where are you going and what are you going to do?" Xiaohua raised his head. His eyes were bright and he didn't seem to be afraid. He said word by word, "This is disciple's secret. It's not convenient to tell Master." "Ah?" Cui Hongshan saw this and almost wanted to stomp his feet again. But when he saw Xiangyang looking at him from the side, he clenched his teeth and his cheeks bulged. In the end, he didn't say anything. He looked at Xiaohua helplessly. It seemed that he was trying to distinguish whether Xiaohua was telling the truth or not. But just from Xiaohua's eyes, he couldn't see anything. Zhuo Minghui also hesitated on the side, not knowing how to explain. Forget it. Suddenly, Xiaohua seemed to have made a decision. He seemed to have aged a few years. He clapped his hands and took out a keepsake. He handed it to Xiaohua and said, Xiaohua, when you entered this old man's sect, this old man almost didn't give you any pointers. The few things I taught you were taught by your senior brother on behalf of this old man. You have always been biting off more than you can chew. The things your senior brother taught you may not be worthy of your attention. You are indeed wronged under this old man's sect. Moreover, you have just reported to the Jade Archive Hall. According to the usual practice, you will definitely not be selected. This is also this old man's fault for implicating you. This old man will bear this responsibility. This is this old man's keepsake. You can use this to enter and leave the Imperial Thunder Sect. You can go now. Master. Cui Hongshan shouted anxiously. Disciple has already heard from Qi Meng that all the selected disciples can't enter or leave the Imperial Thunder Sect. If there is a special situation and they can't go out, then the disciple must use the teacher's keepsake to go out. The teacher who gave the disciple the keepsake must bear the responsibility. If the disciple doesn't know how to do it, then half a year later, when all the disciples go out, it will be when the disciple's teacher dies. This hearing that there was such a rule, even Xiang Yang and Yan Qinglian, who were very confident in Xiaohua, were shocked. They both looked at Xiaohua. Go. As if he didn't hear Cui Hongshan's words, he said to Xiaohua in a low voice, if you have something to do, then go quickly. The sooner you go, the sooner you can come back. Yes, disciple understands. Xiaohua didn't stand on ceremony. He took the keepsake, turned around, and left the cave. He didn't even return to his own cave, and went straight to Sky Thunder Peak. Master seeing that Xiaohua didn't even return to his cave, Cui Hongshan became even angrier and shouted, Xiaohua clearly has the intention to leave. You alas, the sky wants to rain, the mother wants to marry. Let him be. Xiaohua sat on the jade chair. His eyes were a little blank as he looked at the place where Xiaohua disappeared inside. Alas, Cui Hongshan stomped his feet and walked out with the storage pouch in his hand. His face was full of anger. Xiang Yang and Yan Qinglian wanted to say something, but they didn't know where to start. They waved their hands helplessly. You two can go back too. Master wants some peace and quiet. Yes, disciple understands. Xiang Yang and Yan Qinglian took their leave. Just as they took a few steps, a helpless voice came from behind. Xiang Yang, you have to remember, only when your fist is hard will it be the truth. You and Qinglian still have to cultivate properly. Li, you two also have to take care of him. It must be like what you said. My myriad Thunder Valley must produce a spirit-severing cultivator. Chapter 2203. Disciple. Disciple understands. Xiang Yang's heart ached, and he almost shed tears. Helplessly, these words seemed to have a hint of his last words. Helplessness, helplessness. He actually still didn't have confidence in Xiaohua. Xiaohua didn't even return to his immortal's cave. He activated his flying technique and went straight to Sky Thunder Peak. Sure enough, as Cui Hongshan said, the entire Sky Thunder Peak was already guarded by Imperial Thunder Sect disciples. On the mountain path, in the air, several foundation building disciples were standing guard, and dozens of aura refining disciples were constantly patrolling. They didn't have the freedom they had before. Seeing Xiaohua fly over, a late-stage foundation building old man scanned with his divine sense and flew over. He scolded. Which Thunder Palace disciple is this? Where are you going on business? Do you have a token from Thunder Palace? Xiaohua didn't dare to be negligent. He stopped in midair and respectfully took out his token and helplessness's token. He handed them over and said with an apologetic smile, Disciple is Xiaohua from Thunder Palace. I have an urgent matter to attend to and have to leave the sect. Senior Marshal Brother, please check. The old man took the two items and scanned them with his divine sense. He asked curiously, Your token? Immediately the old man seemed to realize something and shouted, "Senior Marshal Brother Qian, please come here." "Junior Marshal Brother Qian, what's the matter?" A thin old man about the same age as the old man flew over. "Please use the discrimination chime," Junior Marshal Brother Qian said with a smile. "Oh, this disciple was selected?" Senior Marshal Brother Qian was surprised. He clapped his hand and took out a magic tool that looked like a chime jar. Senior Marshal Brother Qian activated his magic power, and a cyan flame shot out from the chime jar. It was 3 feet tall. Junior Marshal Brother Qian threw Xiaohua's command tablet into the magic tool. With a thunderous boom, a purple lightning bolt flashed out of the jar and struck Xiaohua's command tablet out of the jar. As expected, Senior Marshal Brother Qian's eyes flashed with a strange light. He looked at Xiaohua and said, "This disciple was selected to go to Huan country. This is his master's token." Junior Marshal Brother Qian waved helplessness's token in front of Senior Marshal Brother Qian, and also threw it into the magic tool. Unlike Xiaohua's token, helplessness's token didn't have any abnormalities. Senior Marshal Brother Qian waved his hand, and took out helplessness's token. He scanned it with his divine perception and said in a low voice, "Oh, deafening Thunder Palace and myriad Thunder Valley." With a wave of his hand, Junior Marshal Brother Qian sent out a message talisman. "Why did you leave the Imperial Thunder Sect?" Junior Brother Qian turned his head and asked Xiaohua. Xiaohua didn't want to deceive the two of them. He said, "Disciple met an alchemist in Jinghua City last time. Disciple gave him spirit stones, and ordered some early-stage foundation establishment pills. If I don't go now, the spirit stones will be wasted." Hee, Senior Brother Qian laughed and glanced at Junior Brother Kansas. "Junior Brother Qian, how many times have you heard these words today?" "If not 1,000, then at least 800, Junior Brother Qian said with a smile. "There are even more bizarre reasons than this." Xiaohua's expression didn't change, he just stood there quietly. He didn't reply. "What? You look quite calm." Senior Marshal Brother Qian pointed at him and said, "You're a disciple of the Imperial Thunder Sect. You're a member of the Imperial Thunder Sect in life, and a ghost of the Imperial Thunder Sect in death. My Imperial Thunder Sect nurtured you from the first level of the aura refining realm to the early stage of the foundation establishment realm. We've never mistreated you with spiritual pills, spirit stones, and so on. Now that my Imperial Thunder Sect has a use for you, you actually want to run away. Do you think you're worthy of my Imperial Thunder Sect?" Although Xiaohua frowned slightly, he was already impatient. He was pressed for time and had no choice but to delay here and be humiliated. However, after thinking for a moment, Xiaohua boasted that he didn't dare to oppose the Imperial Thunder Sect. He bowed and said, "Senior Marshal Brothers, you're overthinking. Since I have the Master's token in my hand, I'll definitely take the Master's safety to heart. How can I be as unbearable as you two say?" "Alas, you can't judge a book by its cover." Junior Marshal Brother Qian look distressed. "If that's really the case, you should obediently stay in Myriad Thunder Valley. Wait for half a year before setting off. At that time, it won't be too late for you to go to Jinghua City. Why are you in such a hurry?" "But this Xiao only has a little more than a month left," Xiaohua said with a bitter smile. "It's only a few spirit stones. If you don't go, your master will compensate you," Senior Marshal Brother Qian said again, still unwilling to let Xiaohua go. Xiaohua became impatient and said with a smile, "Does this Xiao meet the requirements of leaving the sect?" Senior Marshal Brother Qian glanced at Junior Marshal Brother Qian and nodded helplessly. "You do. Very good." Xiaohua cupped his hands and said, "Many thanks." After saying that, he was about to fly away. "Wait," Senior Marshal Brother Qian shouted. "Xiaohua, this old man still has one last thing to say to you. It's true that you meet the requirements of leaving the sect, and you're also the first disciple to leave the sect. Although your master trusts you, this old man and the others don't. This old man advises you, don't take half a step out of Sky Thunder Peak with evil intentions." "I know." Xiaohua was about to leave again. "Did this old man and the others allow you to leave?" Junior Marshal Brother Qian coldly shouted. Xiaohua was very helpless as he turned around and asked, What else do you two senior martial brothers want? Wait until your master's life is confirmed, then you can leave. All right. Xiao Hua understood what kind of summoning talisman junior brother can sent out just now. Sure enough, in the time it took to smoke a cigarette, a communication talisman flew back. Junior martial brother Ken looked at it and nodded. Jade Archive Hall replied, Myriad Thunder Valley's helpless life tablet is fine. Go. Senior martial brother Qian looked at Xiao Hua meaningfully and waved his hand. Xiao Hua's token was thrown to Xiao Hua, but helpless token was left behind. This old man will leave helpless token. When you return to the sect, you can ask this old man for it. Otherwise Xiao Hua took the token. This time he didn't cup his hands. Instead he activated his magic power and flew towards the mountain path of Sky Thunder Peak. When his figure landed, he hurriedly flew down AI. This helpless senior martial brother Qian looked at the token in his hand and threw it into the jar with a wave of his hand. He sighed and said, I'm afraid it bodes ill rather than well. Who can you blame? It's just that his ears are soft. Junior martial brother Ken sneered. This Ken really didn't expect that there would actually be a master who would put his own life in the hands of his own disciple. Xiao Hua flew down the mountain. When he could fly, he immediately flew into the air and swept out his Buddhist awareness. When he saw that there was no one nearby, he immediately activated the bright thunder escape. True essence flowed around his body, and the two invisible dots in his dantian faintly emitted crackling lightning. The rumbling sound of thunder came from Xiao Hua's magic power. His figure was extremely fast to the limit of the bright thunder escape. I'll take advantage of this opportunity to see if I can master the Imperial Thunder Escape. Xiao Hua's eyes slightly flashed as he looked towards the direction of Yellow Flower Ridge. Chapter 2204. This young master originally wanted to wait until after the core condensation stage before going to 100 Herbs sect. However, since there's a battle with sword cultivators, this young master is not afraid, but senior brother is right. It's better to be safe than sorry. If this young master were to have an accident in the battle with the sword cultivators, then wouldn't my master's revenge be impossible? Now that this young master's cultivation is close to the middle stage of gold core, there's absolutely no problem for me to face Jiang Jiantong alone. However, I'm afraid of being surrounded by the disciples of 100 Herbs sect and the formation of Yellow Flower Ridge. 100 Herbs sect has been in my Shang Huaming's hands for dozens of years. I'm afraid that they have already changed their formation. Previously, Shang Huaming's formation could not even be broken by a foundation establishment cultivator in the hands of 3 Qi refining disciples. With the reinforcement of 100 Herbs sect and the support of a foundation establishment cultivator, this young master is afraid that this young master will not be able to easily break in. This way, killing Jiang Jiantong will be a bit difficult. As Xiao Hua flew, he secretly pondered. Actually, this young master is most troubled by senior sister. This is probably one of the reasons why this young master has not dared to face 100 Herbs sect. AI senior sister, I wonder how you're doing in 100 Herbs sect? Now that you're in foundation establishment, you shouldn't be too patient. After this young brother kills Jiang Jiantong and Jiang Fan and avenges my master, I'll hand Shang Huaming over to you. Let Shang Huaming revive once again, and let Shang Huaming's name shake the Dawn Rain continent. Thinking of this, Xiao Hua unconsciously felt his blood boil. The lightning around his body became more rapid, and the bright thunder escape faintly felt that it had transformed from thunder calm to thunder movement. Not to mention Xiao Hua rushing to Yellow Flower Ridge, in the endless hills in the north of the country of Xi. There was also a rainbow-like ray of light streaking across the sky, shooting into the distance. Its speed did not seem to be any slower than Xiao Hua's. Oh. At this moment, the ray of light suddenly stopped, and the figures of 2 female cultivators appeared. The one in front was the graceful and luxurious 10,000 Demon Realm Empress, and the one in her hand was the lovely Dai. Empress, why did you stop? Dyer lowered her head and looked at the lifeless hills that looked exactly the same. She said strangely, there's no trace of human habitation here. The Empress didn't answer. Instead, she just stood there. The hurricane in the air blew past, but it couldn't move the light protecting her body in the slightest. Her furrowed brows didn't lose out to her peerless beauty. Instead, it made people frown and feel pity for her. Unfortunately, it was so desolate, how could anyone have seen it? There seems to be some aura here. The Empress slowly spoke as her figure slowly descended. Her divine sense was scanning the area 100 miles in front of her. Oh, did you find it? Diane's face was filled with joy. Her small hands were slightly clasped together, and she appeared to be both excited and nervous. I don't know either. The Empress frowned slightly and spread out her divine sense to search the area inch by inch. After searching for more than half a day, the Empress raised her eyebrows and her eyes lit up. She pointed with her hand and said, "There seems to be some reaction there. But it's different from what I thought." "Is it true or not?" Dyer said anxiously. The Empress has been searching for dozens of years and has spent a lot of magic power. But there's no progress at all. I didn't expect to find it here. I'm afraid it's the same as before. It's an empty joy. The Empress smiled and touched Dyer's forehead with her hand. She said, "Didn't you feel it a few times before? But after searching carefully, it's just some remains of the 10,000 demon realm. How can it be what I'm looking for?" "Hee, Empress. If this lowly servant says it's better to go to the west, isn't there the strong aura of the 10,000 demon realm that Empress said? Maybe he's there." Diane's big eyes were wide open, and her long eyelashes fluttered like the wings of a butterfly. "Sigh. He likes to be quiet and doesn't like to move. The Million Meng Mountains in the Xiaoyu continent have the aura of the 10,000 demon realm. Maybe there are traces of him, but I believe he will never stay there." The Empress sighed. "Moreover, I have used the secret technique of my phone clan. The Million Meng Mountains are our nemesis. If we go there rashly, I'm afraid our lives will be in danger." "Ah, nemesis?" Dyer stuck out her tongue and looked scared. "What's that? Even Empress is afraid of it. Didn't Empress say it before? The cultivators on the Xiaoyu continent are different from our 10,000 demon realm. Even if Empress's strength can't defeat them, it's absolutely no problem for you to escape, right? You little girl. There's nothing absolute in this world." The Empress looked disappointed. She looked up 100 miles away and said, "Back then, I also believed in my own determination. I believed that this heaven and earth were decorations that I wanted to conquer. I believed that my fate was in my own hands. What a pity. Don't talk about the heaven, don't talk about the earth, even people. I can't force them. Even if it's me. I can't control my body and heart." The willows return to the pond. The mandarin ducks leave the pond. The green duckweed breaks the lotus boat's path. The bees and butterflies fall in love with the fragrance. And the red dress gets rid of the bitterness of the heart. The sunset welcomes the tide. And the clouds carry the rain. The gentle and coquettish words. Back then, I refused to marry the spring breeze, but for no reason. I was wronged by the autumn wind. Dyer blurted out and said, "Empress, is it this inexplicable poem?" The Empress's face flushed red. She pretended to be angry and said, "Dyer, how can you say this word so casually?" "Yes, Empress, this servant knows her mistake." Dyer stuck out her tongue and said anxiously, "This servant won't dare to do it again." The Empress nodded. "I'll only listen to it this time. If there's a next time, I'll make sure your soul scatters." Yes. Dyer was so scared that her face turned green. "Let's go." "I'll wait." The Empress put away her cold face and quickly descended. However, there were hundreds of thoughts in her heart. The poem back then. I refused to marry the spring breeze, but for no reason. I was wronged by the autumn wind, indeed flashed in her mind for no reason. Who is it? Suddenly, a wisp of light green smoke flashed high up in the sky and disappeared. How could this be hidden from the Empress? She scolded softly and her spiritual sense quickly scanned the place where the smoke was. However, the light green smoke disappeared without a trace like a spring dream. How could she find it? "Let's go." The Empress saw this and suddenly stopped. Without hesitation, she rushed to the sky. However, at this moment, about 10 feet above the Empress's body, a light green brilliance like a fishing net suddenly appeared. It was as if it had been there for a long time. Peng, the Empress's protective brilliance touched the brilliance and immediately broke the brilliance. The Empress's body only paused for a moment before she rushed up again. Swish, there was a faint sound. About 10 feet away, another light green fishing net appeared and blocked the Empress's head. At this time, the Empress had already released her spiritual sense. She already understood that the light green color of the fishing net was not a simple luster. It was formed by many small talismans. She was also very familiar with these talismans. They were the green seal script of the 10,000 demon realm. Break. The Empress pointed her hand. On her finger, a spot of pure white light appeared, and turned into a light pillar that rushed up to the brilliance. Sure enough, the light green brilliance dissipated upon contact and broke a large hole. The Empress's body flew out of the hole casually. The brilliance that was broken through also disappeared immediately. However, it was also at this time that another light green brilliance appeared about 10 feet above her head. Not only that, when the Empress stretched out her finger again, layer after layer of light green net that seemed to have been hidden in space long ago gradually revealed itself like layers upon layers of pavilions. They densely covered an area of several thousand feet above the Empress' head. Moreover, these light green brilliances were extremely large. The Empress's spiritual sense could tell that they were more than 100 miles long. Humph. Seeing this, the Empress was not nervous at all. Her stretched-out finger trembled slightly and a fist-sized white brilliance appeared. It turned into a palm-sized feather, and shot straight into the sky like an arrow. Pung pung pung, a series of sounds rang out. Rays of light were torn apart, and the Empress' body flew up along with the feather. Only after flying up 1,000 feet, did the feather finally run out of energy, and slowly disappear into the air. Go. The Empress did not hesitate and pointed her finger again. The same brilliance appeared and attacked again. However, this time, the feather only flew for a few hundred feet before it disappeared. Obviously, the strength of the light green brilliance was more than twice as strong. The Empress's eyes narrowed and her face showed a dignified expression. Once again, she stretched out her snow-white hand and patted her forehead. Once again, a palm-sized pure white feather grew out. This feather shone with a holy brilliance, and within it, there was a faint jade-like brilliance that was rotating. Go. The Empress did not hesitate to open her cherry lips. A hurricane was formed and the feather whistled in the whirlwind, and rushed into the layers of light green nets in the sky. Bang bang bang. The impact this time was clearly not comparable to the previous one. However, this feather only traveled a distance of 1,000 feet compared to the first one before it let out a wail and disappeared in mid-air. However, after the mournful wail, hundreds and thousands of light nets were born in the sky. Slowly, they pressed down like snowflakes falling from the sky. Empress Dai-er, who was holding the Empress's hand, was a little anxious. Finally, she could not help but whisper, "Hurry up and fly away. Don't worry about this servant." "Shut up." The Empress snorted coldly and her body suddenly descended. This world was very strange. As long as the Empress flew downwards, the light green brilliance did not seem to obstruct her. In fact, it did not even appear. When the Empress flew down and was about 100 feet away, the brilliance immediately flashed and blocked the Empress's head. Wang, a huge gust of wind blew. The Empress's body was like the eye of the wind. Countless amounts of heaven and earth spiritual qi were sucked into her body. However, as the heaven and earth spiritual qi was sucked in, the Empress's body gradually shrank. In just a few breaths, all the heaven and earth spiritual qi within 100 miles was sucked into the Empress's body. However, the heaven and earth spiritual qi outside 100 miles was blocked by the light green brilliance, and could not penetrate at all. Chapter 2205. The instant the spiritual energy of heaven and earth came to a standstill, the Empress figure suddenly turned faint. The faint figure twisted within the hurricane, and a layer of faint figure appeared. The Empress seemed to want to merge with the wind, and floated to the edge of the green brilliance. Unfortunately, no matter how the Empress cast the spell, her figure could only turn faint, and could not disappear. This couldn't help but cause a trace of surprise to flash through the Empress' calm eyes. This was naturally the wind escape technique that the Empress gave to Xiaohua. At this moment, when the Empress used it, it was an earth-shattering difference. In just the blink of an eye, the Empress flew more than 10 li away. In just a few breaths of time, the Empress had already flown to the edge of the green net. However, at this moment, the Empress figure could no longer maintain the previous state of invisibility. After a series of ripples, her figure gradually became visible, and her face that was originally white as snow became even whiter. And her eyes were filled with doubt and regret. It seemed that the wind escape technique's speed and effect were far from what she had expected. Rumble. With a series of earth-shaking rumbles, dark green pillars of light that were as thick as bowls appeared in front of the Empress like heavenly pillars that could shake the heavens and earth. They shot up from the ground and pierced straight into the sky, fusing together with the light green brilliance. The Empress knew that this was a crucial moment, and didn't dare to hesitate any longer. She tossed her hand, and a fist-sized jade seagull appeared in her hand. She spat out a mouthful of blood, and the jade seagull immediately became alive. It flapped its wings, and those scissor-like wings streaked across the sky, leaving behind traces of cracks. Transform. As the jade seagull flew in front of her, the Empress figure floated up again. The jade seagull cut through hundreds of light pillars, and the Empress also flew more than 100 zhang. Like the net of light, the light pillars became more and more solid as they approached the outer layer. That jade seagull that could tear space finally crashed into a light pillar, and stopped. It let out a mournful cry like a feather, and its brilliance faded away. It retreated back into a magic treasure, and fell into the Empress' hand. Rise. A cold glint flashed through the Empress' eyes. She pointed her finger again, and a burst of pure white light flashed from her body. Two illusory figures emerged from the Empress' back. They were actually a pair of wings that were over 100 feet in size. Whoosh! The wings on the Empress' back flapped, and the Empress flew up once more. With a series of loud bangs, she broke through the dozen or so light pillars in front of her once more. However, the Empress' protective brilliance flickered repeatedly. Clearly, it couldn't hold on any longer. When the pillars of light collapsed, the Empress stopped in midair. She looked at the sparse pillars of light in front of her. Her eyes widened slightly, and the black pupils in her eyes almost covered her entire eyes. Go! The Empress scolded softly and shook her left hand. The jade seagull floated in the air. The Empress threw it with her right hand and Er's body involuntarily fell into the jade seagull. Then another figure separated from the Empress and landed in the jade seagull. The jade seagull instantly emitted an extremely brilliant brilliance and disappeared on the spot. Ha ha ha, a hoarse voice echoed in the air. A dark green brilliance quickly appeared and hit the pillars of light. Ripples appeared in the gaps between the pillars of light, and then a pitch-black spatial crack appeared. The pure white jade seagull's body was faintly discernible. It only appeared for a moment before the jade seagull disappeared again. With a strange sound, fellow cultivator Dong Shan appeared in the void wearing a cloak. A strange sound came from within the cloak. It was the strange green seal text. Suddenly, it seemed to be pulled by a mysterious hand. At the end of the pillar of light, the void rapidly swelled like boiling water. Bubbles rushed out one after another. Rather than saying that the jade seagull came out with the bubbles, it was more accurate to say that it was squeezed out. However, at the same time the jade seagull appeared, the Empress figure also broke free from the jade seagull. She also formed a seal, and the jade seagull rushed into the distance again. Ha ha ha, Xianwan, you even left your avatar behind. You still want to let the little girl escape? The strange green seal text was emitted once again, but the light pillars near the Empress avatar collapsed and came crashing down. The Empress avatar did not dare to be careless, and at the same time the light exploded, her figure suddenly flew downwards. With a loud bang, several pillars of light hit the jade seagull first. The sturdy jade seagull actually cracked and stopped in midair. Then, the pillars of light smashed towards the Empress avatar. It seemed to want to separate the avatar from the Empress. But how could the Empress dare to let fellow cultivator Dong Shan's plan succeed? She closed her eyes and slowly emitted a milky white brilliance, gradually filling the entire sky. The Empress avatar quickly dodged the pillars of light, and used the 5 elements escape technique to rush underground. You want to take back your avatar? Xianwan, Your imagination is too wonderful. Fellow cultivator Dongshan's hoarse voice sounded again. This seat set up the array for a long time. Not only did it isolate the world's spiritual energy, but it also restricted magic power and divine sense. But it still let you break through here. Your Wind Clan's divine ability is indeed powerful. The Empress didn't answer. Her beautiful, slender neck slightly bent, and her phoenix eyes closed even more. Her long eyelashes trembled, and the milky white brilliance on her body became even more flourishing. Fellow cultivator Dongshan naturally knew that the Empress was accumulating power. The hands hidden in his Taoist robe stretched out, and a light green brilliance flashed in his black, hairy palms. Pillars of light formed between the Empress avatar and her main body. At this moment, the light green brilliance in the air like a fishing net also fell, surrounding the Empress like an inescapable net. Wung wung wung, a rumbling sound came from the ground beneath the Empress' feet. With a loud bang, it was as if the world was collapsing. Countless ink-green brilliance splashed everywhere like ink. The Empress avatar rushed out from the ground and without any suspense, rushed into the Empress' main body. At the same time the avatar rushed into the main body, the milky white brilliance around the Empress was as brilliant as the sun. It suddenly expanded, and a pure white swan that was over 1,000 feet in length stretched out its beautiful body in the sun. As the swan straightened her slender neck, her wings also spread open. The halo of her wings was actually over 100 feet white. At this moment, the flapping of her wings wasn't an ordinary hurricane, but a mysterious fluctuation. Following the fluctuation, the surrounding green brilliance began to revolve. From time to time, it would collapse, and a black and white pattern would strangely appear in the air. With a sound, the swan stretched out her neck and let out a long cry. Her graceful body rushed into the black and white pattern. The swan's brilliance gradually disappeared, and her body also disappeared into the black and white. Go! Fellow Taoist East Mountain, who had been motionless all this time, suddenly moved. An equally mysterious ripple surged around him, and the ripple seemed to cause the surrounding space to collapse. Fellow Taoist East Mountain's cloak also disappeared, and a huge black wolf appeared in midair. Chapter 2206. The black wolf raised its head and howled. At this time, the moon was already high up in the sky. As the black wolf howled, countless rays of moonlight poured into the black wolf's body. Woo! A strange sound accompanied the dark green seal text rushing into the black and white lines where the swan was. Clearly, there was a layer of restriction around the swan's light. The fluctuations were easily blocked. However, the green seal text was like a worm. It first stuck to the surface, then burrowed into it. Once the green seal text burrowed in, the black wolf standing in midair immediately stopped howling. It actually raised its head, its black eyes flashing with cruelty and calmness. Sure enough, the swan's light was still dim, but the pure white body within the light began to tremble. At first, it was like an itch, then like a ripple, and finally, it trembled violently. The swan that had disappeared long ago reappeared in the black and white lines. Immediately, the black and white lines began to tremble as well. Black and white were no longer clearly separated, but gradually blurred and turned gray. Pung! Another loud sound rang out from afar. Oh! Hei Lang raised his head in confusion, only to see the jade gull that was previously suspended in midair suddenly explode. Dyer, who was inside the jade gull, rushed out of the dark green light pillar like an arrow under the protection of a pure white brilliance. Hee, do you think you can escape? The black wolf spoke in human language, but his voice was still hoarse. He slightly opened his mouth, and a dark green pillar of light suddenly appeared in midair, piercing through the pure white light. Ah! With a scream, Dyer could no longer maintain her human form. A pale yellow, duck-like demon beast appeared, and a fist-sized bloody hole appeared in her neck. However, the pure white light was not over yet. It continued to fly forward. Just as the black wolf was about to attack again, a clear cry rang out. The swan's body had completely retreated into the black wolf's formation. But following the swan's cry, an extremely pure white light appeared and shot straight at the black wolf. Ha ha ha! The black wolf looked up to the sky and laughed. Xianwan, you're a cornered beast. You've been hit by the heavenly heart erosion. Can your innate holy light last? As expected, the white light was pure and holy when it first appeared around the swan, but after flying a few feet, it immediately turned into a pitch-black spot. As it flew further away, the pitch-black spot continued to expand. By the time it reached the black wolf, most of it was pitch black. The black wolf howled at the black and white radiance, and all of the radiance dissipated. A heavenly sound rose from the swan. The swan's body shook a little, and very elegantly stretched its neck, gradually transforming into a human form. However, this human form was several times taller than the previous queen's body, and had a pair of pure white wings on its back. Of course, there were now some pitch-black spots of light on his wings. Dasheng, you've chased me from the demon realm all the way to Xiaoyu continent. In the end, I still fell into your trap. Xianwan, 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 Xianwan Dang, Xianwan Dang. Xianwan. The black wolf named Dongshani roared, as if he was very unhappy with Xianwan's safety. At this time he was also in human form, but different from Xianwan. He was about the same height as Xianwan, but his head was that of a black wolf. However, from the looks of it, he was also a female. Seeing Dongshani so angry, Xianwan was still calm. Dongshani, do you have any questions? Why did you imprison me? Hee, you finally asked. Dongshani sneered. I thought you were always high up, always indifferent to everything. You're always looking up. Xianwan's eyes were like water, looking at Dongshani pitifully, as if she was the ruler of the scene. You're not running anymore? Dongshani was very dissatisfied with Xianwan's reaction and mocked. Why should I run? Xianwan laughed. Now there's only you from the demon realm in Xiaoyu continent. If I go, who will you talk to? You can really run. Dongshani was still mocking. Isn't your phone clan born with the ability to travel through the void? Why don't you try again? Since I've failed once, why try again? Xianwan actually used her hand to comb her ink-black hair, and said with a smile. Xianwan, are you always so calm? Did you not get angry when you found out you were trapped? Did you not have any doubts when you found out about the array of the demon realm? Did you find that you can't escape, that you're in danger of your body being destroyed, that your primordial spirit dissipating, that you can't enter reincarnation? You didn't panic? Dongshani's voice was stern. I did. Xianwan continued unhurriedly. However, this matter is not under this consort's control, so what can this consort do? You Dongshani's eyes flash with malice. Don't worry, since you've fallen into my hands, I will make you beg for death. That's your idea. Xianwan stretched, as if she was relieved. But it has nothing to do with me. Wu, Dongshani opened her mouth and a strange sound came out. Hundreds of thin green threads were born from the array, and wrapped around Xianwan. Xianwan was not nervous at all. The wings on her back spread out slightly, and white light pierced the air like flying swords. She completely blocked the green threads 10 feet away. Unfortunately, it was only for a moment. Black spots like rust and mold appeared on the light swords and quickly spread throughout the light swords. The light swords then collapsed and disappeared into nothingness. Then, all the green threads fell on Xianwan's body and gradually disappeared. A painful expression appeared on Xianwan's slightly raised lips. A kind of pitiful pain appeared on her eyebrows. Seeing Xianwan's incomparable elegance, Dongshani's anger could not help but burn. Her body began to tremble. Layers of small green seal text appeared from her mouth and followed the path of the green threads into Xianwan's body. Ouch! Xianwan could not help but moan. Her body trembled and fell down. Her pure white wings trembled and protected her body. How is it? The pain of the heart is not something that anyone can endure. Do you still want to endure in front of me? Dongshani smiled coldly. Her body also began to tremble because of the frequent use of green seal text. However, this trembling was far from the jealousy in her heart. It was also far from the pleasure of seeing Xianwan moan. Unfortunately, Xianwan did not care at all. Her entire body continued to tremble. The pure white brilliance flickered several times, just like her trembling eyelashes. Ha ha ha, Xianwan, what else do you have to say? Do you think you're stronger than me? Dongshani laughed again. Her ferocious wolf head was especially ugly under the moonlight. How did you come to the Dawn Rain continent? A faint, still elegant voice that was obviously enduring pain sounded. My 10,000 demon realms demon race cannot come to the Dawn Rain continent with their true bodies. How did you do it? Jie. Dongshani laughed proudly. I thought you were the ice lotus on the ice mountain, proud and aloof for 10,000 years. It turns out you have curiosity too. I just want to hear it. If you don't want to say it, you don't have to. Xianwan still replied indifferently. If your true body can come, why can't I? Da Shani sneered. Ah, you were following me? Xianwan was stunned. You also noticed that short space crack? Why didn't I see your aura? More than just following. Dongshani laughed. Don't tell me you haven't heard of the dream-changing water's ability? Oh, since you used the lizard race's secret treasure. It's normal that I couldn't find it. Xianwan's indifferent tone made Dongshanyi's anger rise again. Don't you want to know how you were hit by my heavenly heart erosion? Dongshani sneered. Yes, I am indeed surprised. It seems like my holy light has always been protecting my body. How did your heavenly heart erosion get in? Hehe, do you still need to say it? Naturally, it's time for your avatar to come out. Dongshani pointed proudly and laughed. Why don't you take a look? Isn't your holy light corroded enough here? Xiaoyu's eyes widened. Sure enough, where her body touched the ground, the pure white brilliance began to shrink. The black spots on the brilliance began to emit fine lines that extended towards the ground. It was clear that the ground was covered in heavenly heart erosion. Dongshan-yi, you've really been scheming. Xianwan sighed. You set up arrays in the air and all around to prevent me from escaping. There were also faint magic power fluctuations on the ground that seemed to be even stronger than the ones in the air. You made it so that I didn't dare to rashly fly down. When my avatar came out and wanted to forcibly escape, I deliberately left it with a chance of survival. Then you prevented it from merging with my true body. However, my avatar was already tainted with a trace of heavenly heart erosion the moment it entered the ground. If my avatar didn't merge, your heavenly heart erosion wouldn't have been able to invade my holy light, right? So much so that you were certain you could kill this queen's avatar? Kikik, Dongshani laughed. Exactly. Although your avatar is powerful, this is not the 10,000 demon realm. It's already good that you can use 10% of your magic power. My formation is also used to restrict your divine ability. So it's not difficult for me to kill your divine incarnation. If you discover the heavenly heart erosion, I will naturally kill your avatar. Xianwan without her avatar is even less of a match for me. If I'm hit by the heavenly heart erosion, won't I fall into your trap? Xianwan sighed. What do you want to do? My Wind clan and your Dongshan clan don't seem to have any deep hatred. I've only met you a few times. There are many demon clans in the 10,000 demon realm. Which demon clan doesn't have hatred between them? Although the Wind clan is a higher clan, they're not friends with my Dongshan clan. Dongshani sneered. I have my own plans for capturing you. I just don't know if you'll cooperate. If you like this work, you're welcome to vote for it at Qidian. Come. Chapter 2207. How do you want me to cooperate? Xianwan asked. If I agree, will you let me go? Dongshanyi's eyes were filled with joy as he laughed strangely. Xianwan, this doesn't seem to be your style. You're actually proposing conditions to me? There's a saying in Dawn Rain continent. How can a person not bow under the eaves? Xianwan said softly. Since I'm here, I naturally have to seek survival. If you have anything to say, just say it. Good, straightforward. Dongshani nodded. As long as you agree to my request, I'll make a blood oath to let you go. Well, say it. I don't need you to make a blood oath. In Dawn Rain continent, your blood oath might not be useful. You have to answer 3 questions. Dongshan-yi said impatiently. Oh. Hearing Dongshan-yi's question, Xianwan's trembling eyelashes suddenly rose, revealing a pair of beautiful eyes. The pupils in these beautiful eyes were actually slightly yellow, a kind of pure gold color. The first question is, why did you come to Dawn Rain continent alone? Dongshani asked. I saw you step into the space crack without hesitation, and your face seemed to be filled with joy. I'm here for a private matter. I'm afraid I can't tell you. Xianwan shook her head. This matter has nothing to do with you, so don't ask. Good. Dongshani nodded. This is not what I wanted to ask, but since you answered so honestly, I'm satisfied. What about the second question? The second question is naturally the heavenly feather sacred world. Dongshani laughed. Where is the sacred object of your wind clan, the heavenly pure feather? You. Why are you coveting my heavenly feather sacred world? Xianwan was shocked and asked curiously. That's a place only people of my upper clan can go. Why are you going there? You don't need to ask where I'm going. You just need to tell me where the heavenly pure feather is. Dongshani grinned. Xianwan shook her head. Although I'm the previous saintess of the Wind Clan, after marrying Mo Sa, I lost the qualification of saintess. I don't know where this heavenly pure feather is. Don't think that I don't know anything. Dongshani sneered. The heavenly pure feather is the Wind Clan saintess' natal spiritual feather. You were the previous saintess, how could you not know where it is? Since you know the origin of the pure sky feather, you naturally know the purity of the pure sky feather. How do you explain this? Why must you force this consort to answer? The smile on Xianwan's face was like 100 flowers blooming. Why would I ask you if I knew? Dongshani spat out the strange green seal script syllables again. Xianwan frowned in pain again. His shy smile was gone, and all that was left was pain. Dongshan, the heavenly pure feather is the saintess' holy purity. As long as yang qi enters the body, the heavenly pure feather will immediately be tainted and lose the qualifications to enter the heavenly feather sacred world. Xiang smiled bitterly. I've been in Qin Shui Palace for many years, so how can I still have the heavenly pure feather? Otherwise, wouldn't my Wind Clan have many heavenly pure feathers? So that's how it is. Dongshani suddenly understood, but a look of regret appeared on his face. Oh, I understand. Xianwan seemed to have only just realized. You risked your body to cultivate the green seal script to this level. You want to go to the heavenly feather sacred world. Ha ha ha, that's right. Dongshani laughed. Don't you think the green seal script is very powerful? Whether it's the 10,000 demon realm or the Dawn Rain continent, there are unfathomable powerful beings. If I go to the heavenly feather sacred world and eliminate the hidden dangers of the green seal script, wouldn't I be able to dominate the 10,000 demon realm? Difficult. Xianwan shook her head again. Although I've never been to the heavenly feather sacred world, I know that the green seal script is listed as a forbidden technique in the 10,000 demon realm. Even powerful beings don't dare to try it. Even if you go to the heavenly feather sacred world, I'm afraid you won't succeed. Then what about Demon King Mo Sa's Void Sea Primordial Water? Dongshan asked immediately. Ha ha ha, Xianwan laughed when she heard this. It was a rare laugh. I finally know your plan. I also know why you're so scheming. That's right, that's my plan. Dongshan answered without hesitation. Since you know, you'd better answer honestly. But Xianwan stopped laughing and covered her heaving chest with her hand. She shook her head and said, the Void Sea Primordial Water is naturally in the Mo Sa Palace's treasury. This consort will naturally be able to answer you. Don't try to play tricks with me. Daishani sneered. Anyone who has eyes and ears in the 10,000 demon realm knows about Demon King Mo Sa's Mo Sa Palace. But who knows where the treasury is and how to enter it? As Demon King Mo Sa's most beloved concubine, you should know this secret. Of course I know. Xianwan nodded. But why should I tell you? If Mo Sa knows that I revealed the secret of the treasury, do you think I'll be better off than this? Not necessarily. Dongshani tempted. Who knows if it was you who leaked it? I only need a drop of primordial water. You're daydreaming. Xianwan shook her head again. It's not like you don't know Mo Sa's methods. Wouldn't it be fine if I just search your soul? Yes, if you can search my soul. Why are you wasting time with me? Xianwan answered indifferently. Sigh, Dongshani shook her head. Looks like you won't tell me even if I break my mouth. Then I can only tell you the truth. Tell me what? Xianwan raised her eyebrows. I know about the dark flower. And I know it's in the Dawn Rain continent. Dong Shanyi's eyes were bright as she stared at Xianwan. Ah! Xianwan couldn't help but exclaim. How do you know? There's no such thing as an airtight wall in this world. No news can be hidden from others. Even if Demon King Mo Sa doesn't know, others might know. Dong Shanyi clearly knew what Xianwan wanted to ask. She said proudly, if there are only a few people who know about you and the Dark Flower, I'm one of them. What? If you tell me the location of the treasure trove, and even give me the primordial water, I'll tell you about the Dark Flower. Xianwan's eyes moved, but they were hazy like water for a moment. She immediately shook her head and said, now is now, and then is then. I have a clear conscience. Even if Mo-sa knows, I'm not afraid. Why should I be afraid of your coercion? Who is the Dark Flower? If he's in the Dawn Rain continent, how could he let you know? Yes. Dong Shanyi nodded. You're indeed an ice beauty. Even someone as strong as the Dark Flower can't escape your beautiful eyes. You really can't be moved by this news. However, since I want you to have a clear understanding of what I'm doing, I'll tell you. I'll reveal a little to you. That Dark Flower founded a sect in the Dawn Rain continent. Chapter 2208. Founded. Ming? Xianwan said she didn't care, but she couldn't help but wonder. With the power of the Dark Flower, this sect was actually founded? Yes, indeed, this sect has been destroyed. Dong Shanyi nodded. It was a very small sect. Not many people on the Dawn Rain continent have heard of it. Xianwan nodded slightly. Hee, Dong Shanyi laughed. The beloved concubine of the Demon Realm's Demon King Mo-sa traveled the Dawn Rain continent for decades just to find the Dark Flower. If this were to spread, people would laugh their heads off. Xianwan didn't answer. Don't you want to know the name of that sect? Dong Shanyi laughed. No. Xianwan shook her head. That has nothing to do with me. Alright, this information will be a gift. Dong Shanyi laughed again. That sect is called Death Flower Ming. Sigh, what a strange name. I thought for a long time but still couldn't figure it out. Ha ha ha, Xianwan laughed happily, her bright wings trembling violently. What are you laughing at? Dong Shanyi was stunned by Xianwan's incomparable happiness. I'm laughing at you. You don't have any information about the Dark Flower, you're just relying on the name of a destroyed sect. Xianwan exposed the truth. Dong Shanyi was unmoved and coldly said. If you want to deceive me about the whereabouts of the Dark Flower, then you're underestimating me. Forget it, I'm not going to talk about this with you. I said that I'm just casually telling you because I want you to know that what I know and what I want to do is not something you can stop. I know, go ahead. A rare smile appeared on Xianwan's face. Dong Shanyi's eyes widened and she pointed. Do you know what formation you're in now? Of course I didn't know, but I can see that you used a forbidden technique and vaguely know. This is probably some 8 Desolation Imprisonment formation, right? Xianwan said with a smile. That's right. You really are the Holy Maiden of the Wind Clan, Demon King Mo-sa's beloved concubine. Dong Shanyi clapped. You even know about this ancient formation. I'm flattered. Xianwan said with a smile. It's a pity that it's too late, otherwise there's no need to say anything else. Dong Shanyi waved his hand. This seat knows of your Wind Clan's wind escape secret technique. I've long sealed off the wind here. As he spoke, he pointed his hand. Below the hill in the distance, a hazy green ring of light supported a yellow bead. Sigh, no wonder. You actually got the air-frozen bead of the mountain tribe. No wonder this queen couldn't fully display her wind escape technique. Xianwan exclaimed in realization. It seems you've been planning this for a long time. Not bad. Dong Shanyi laughed coldly. I'm telling you all this because I want to tell you that this isn't all I have. This 8 Desolate Spirit Imprisonment Array is far from the 8 Desolate Spirit Imprisonment Array that you think it is. It's the Universal Spirit Exchange Array. Universe Spirit Exchange Array? Xianwan was a little confused. What's the difference? Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Dong Shanyi laughed loudly, his body trembling. That strange mouth looked especially strange under the full moon. Strange. Xianwan shook his head slightly. Xianwan. Think about it. If your holy body had a filthy primordial spirit, the primordial spirit of a prostitute, the primordial spirit of a promiscuous woman, think about it. Your pure white body being trampled on by the filthy Dawn Rain continent's lowly commoners. What are you thinking? Dongshan Yi's eyes flashed with a thoughtful cunningness, as well as the complacency of his scheme succeeding. Yu Xianwan really didn't expect Dongshan Yi to have such a dark idea. He was truly shocked. His face also showed a panic that had never appeared before. How about it? Think about it. A body that Demon King Masa coveted was actually trampled on by a lowly commoner of the mortal realm. A pair of lips that even Dark Flower lost itself in was actually tasted by a lowly commoner. What a joke that is. If Demon King Masa finds out about this, do you think your situation will be any worse than if he finds out that you leaked his treasury in order to preserve your loyalty to him? If you force me to do this, even if you could return to Demon King Masa's side in the future, would you still have the face to live in this world? If that's the case, you might as well give me the Void Sea primordial water. Dongshan Yi's voice became more and more illusory, as if some faint green light was flying out. Only at this moment did Xianwan begin to laugh. A holy brilliance emerged from her body and quickly spread out from her body. The sound of wind and thunder suddenly filled the air. Following the sound of wind and thunder, the light transformed into strands of light that quickly wrapped around Xianwan. Xian cocoon? Dongshan Yi was shocked. Demon King Masa actually gave this to you? You actually don't care about the price? Do you not want to live anymore? Sure and coquettish language. Back then, I refused to marry the spring wind, but for no reason. I was misunderstood by the autumn wind. A murmured song came out of Xianwan's mouth. Her holy wings slowly retracted, wrapping around her body. Then, the cocoon of light returned to her body. Xianwan's eyes carried a look of unflinching death and a bit of attachment. The golden light in her eyes gradually dimmed, but in the dimness, it hid a scene from an unknown time ago. A figure as handsome as jade, standing between the heavens and earth. From afar, it looked abnormally shy, and its wings were like a frightened person. That small person's face was as red as the sun, and a low voice came. This concubine's nickname is Shang, or only this concubine's deceased parents know. You are the only one in this world who knows. Xianwan scolded Dongshan Yi, saying that Shang Huaming was just a fabrication by Dongshan Yi, but her heart was filled with sweetness. It was as if every breath she took revealed her longing for that person, that demon, in that pure and holy light. Want to die? Not so easy. Dongshan Yi sneered, and the strange rhythm of the green seal script came out of her mouth again. The entire formation began to tremble, and threads of dark green light appeared out of thin air, embedding themselves into Xianwan's body, blocking the light of the cocoon. However, at that moment, Dongshan Yi's body trembled violently, and an even darker green mist seeped out of her body. Roar. Incomparable pain, unbearable pain of the soul, arose from the depths of Dongshan Yi's body. Dongshan Yi couldn't help but raise her head and howl. That howl seemed to tear the space of the formation apart. Taking advantage of this gap, the cocoon quickly shrank, wrapping around Xianwan into a large cocoon of light. The light of the cocoon of light gradually faded, and gradually became colorless. However, streaks of green light were faintly discernible within it, making it appear even more bizarre. Half of the night had passed, and the full moon had already set. An extremely bright star was twinkling in the sky as the first rays of dawn approached. Dongshan Yi had returned to her original cloaked appearance. Looking at the cocoon of light on the ground, Dongshan Yi's eyes narrowed, and she said coldly, "Xianwan, you think you can seal yourself with a cocoon? If I want to do something, no one can stop me." As Dongshan Yi pointed with his finger, the green light seemed to come alive and slowly flowed. It was actually made up of tiny green seal characters. Wu in the void. The green net that had disappeared long ago reappeared, falling layer by layer on top of the cocoon of light. The surrounding light pillars also fell, and also smashed onto the green net. The cocoon of light gradually shrank into the ground, and not long after, there were no traces of last night's fierce battle, not even a trace of strange fluctuation. Even if Xianwan passed by here again, she still couldn't detect the strangeness. Xiaoyu continent. It's still not the 10,000 demon realm. Dongshani sighed. No wonder the demons can't pass through the spatial crack with their bodies. The spiritual energy here is very thin. As she spoke, her figure gradually disappeared, like water being splashed. Dongshani naturally didn't know if Shang Huaming was created by Minghua, but it was just as Xianwan thought. But was Xianwan's idea just a delusion? Or was she the same as Dongshan, who did business because of culture? Even Xianwan herself couldn't explain it clearly. As for Shang Huaming, the two guests from the 10,000 demon realm were worried about, just as Dongshani said. He disappeared in a flash among the thousands of cultivation sects on the Xiaoyu continent. However, Yellow Flower Ridge was still there, and the legend of immortals was still there. The charming white fog was still there. However, today, under the scorching noon sun, a gust of wind blew through the mountain forest where the white fog was. A passage appeared in the white fog that never dissipated all year round. A beautiful middle-aged female cultivator floated out of the white fog. If it wasn't for the worried expression on her face and her brows furrowed, she would definitely look like an elegant fairy. This person was none other than Xiao Xianrui, who was at the early stage of foundation establishment. Xiao Xianrui left Yellow Flower Ridge and released her divine sense. After looking for a moment, she took out a communication talisman and a jade slip from her storage bag. After looking through them with her divine sense, she flew towards the back mountain of Yellow Flower Ridge. It was the place where Xiao Hua hid when he first escaped from Yellow Flower Ridge. In the other direction of Yellow Flower Ridge, a communication talisman was secretly sent out. Just like Xiao Hua, Xiao Xianrui's figure landed in the wilderness. However, Xiao Xianrui didn't look for it with her eyes, but with her divine sense. After waiting for a moment, Xiao Xianrui's eyes lit up and she flew towards a cliff. She saw that this cliff was very steep, and there was a huge rock outside the protruding cliff. On top of the huge rock, there was a small green robe. Xiao Xianrui flew onto the huge rock and stretched out her hand. She held the green robe in her hand, but her eyes looked at the dark cave in front of her and hesitated. Then she gritted her teeth and slowly walked in. The inside of the cave was quite big, wide enough for several people. After walking for a while, it suddenly opened up, and a space like an immortal's cave was revealed. And this immortal's cave was very obvious. It should have just been opened. Yutsong, I am here, you can show yourself. Xiao Xianrui slowly walked to the center of the immortal's cave, looked around and coldly called out. However, her voice only floated within 3 feet of the immortal's cave, and didn't spread out at all. Xiao Xianrui seemed to be a little flustered and didn't notice at all. Ha ha ha, Sister Xiao, you finally came. You made me wait for so long. A burly cultivator, who looked like a farmer, suddenly appeared from a corner. Xiao Xianrui actually didn't see what kind of magic he used. Chapter 2209. Yutsong, Xiao Xianrui's eyes flashed with a trace of disgust and she sneered. I am Jiang Fan's wife, and Jiang An's sister-in-law. You can call I sister-in-law, or you can call me fellow Taoist. This big sister is still irrelevant. Hee, Sister Xiao, isn't sister-in-law the sister? Why do you ask when you already know the answer? Yutsong's eyes showed a lascivious smile, and he rubbed his thick palms hard. Xiao Xianrui felt a chill run down her spine. I have come. You should give Lu or to I. Xiao Xianrui asked helplessly. Hee, sister, don't you think that I called you here just to see you and say a few words to you? How about I call you sister? Yutsong's eyes were full of laughter, but his face was serious, as if he was saying something different. Xiao Xianrui's face flushed. What do you want? Do you still need to say it? Yutsong stretched out his hand, as if to hug her, and shrugged. Don't you know what a man wants? Haven't you done it with Jiang Fan? Is Jiang Lu or someone else's child? Yutsong. Xiao Xianrui's face was even redder, but her eyes were about to spit fire. You harassed I again and again. I thought that you were Jiang An's husband, so I tolerated you again and again. But you, why don't you give up your evil intentions? Jiang An is 100 times more beautiful than I. Why don't you be satisfied with her as your dual cultivation partner? Today, you did something that angered both men and gods, and took my Jiang Lu away. If my husband and Jiang Luer's grandfather knew about this, do you still have a way to live? Sister, how can you not know? Since I saw you, I was bewitched by you. Every day when I was dual cultivation with Jiang'an, I only saw you. Besides, although Jiang'an is beautiful, who doesn't get tired of it after a long time? You face Jiang Fan every day and night. Don't you get tired of it? Don't you want to try someone else? Yu Tsong looked innocent. This man is right in front of you. You only need to take a few steps forward, and you can hold him in your arms. Don't you want that? Bah. Xiao Xianrui was ashamed and angry. She spat and said, I am not such a shameless female cultivator. You are wrong. Is that so? Sister Xiao, it seems that you don't care about Jiang Luer at all. As Yu Tsong spoke, she actually took 2 steps back and pointed at her. Could it be that Jiang Luer isn't your boy? Could it be that you've already forgotten about Jiang Fan who's on the sickbed? What exactly do you want? Where is my Jiang Luer? Xiao Xianrui gritted her teeth. Yu Tsong shook his head slightly and said with a bitter expression, If you don't come over and hug me, I definitely won't say a single word. Moreover, I am a person who has tender feelings for the fairer sex, not a benevolent person. If I am not satisfied after this moment, then Jiang Luer's life. Fine. Xiao Xianrui gritted her teeth again and said, You only want I to hug you? Yu Tsong shook his head vigorously again, and took half a step back. This little one naturally doesn't have such simple thoughts. However, this little one still wants Big Sister to be completely willing. If Big Sister is willing to undress right now, this little one is also willing. Don't even think about it. Xiao Xianrui flatly refused. Sister can refuse, but you have to look at the green robe in your hand. Yu Tsong said coldly, If you don't want Jiang Luer to die, you have to listen to me. Then Yu Tsong crossed his arms and said, Aren't you going to come over quickly? Okay. Xiao Xianrui's eyes widened, and her face was filled with helplessness. She could only walk slowly to Yu Tsong step by step. She hesitantly stretched out her arms as if she wanted to hug Yu Tsong. But just as she stretched out her arms, Xiao Xianrui waved her hands and hit Yu Tsong with a confinement spell. On the other hand, Yu Tsong did not resist at all. Instead, there was a trace of a sinister smile in his eyes. Why is that? Xiao Xianrui absolutely did not expect that she would succeed so easily. A few of her later plans were completely useless. Tell me, where is Jiang Luer? Xiao Xianrui stretched out her hand and grabbed Yu Tsong's throat, asking coldly. Save me. Save me, Yu Tsong suddenly cried out. Seeing that Yu Tsong was actually shouting, Xiao Xianrui gritted her teeth and said, Yu Tsong, you definitely did not expect this day to come. If you call I boy out, However, before Xiao Xianrui, who was still flustered and exasperated, could finish her words, dozens of ice thorns emerged from the edge of the cave, and shot towards the silent restriction spell that Yu Tsong had set up earlier. Walala, like raindrops falling on banana leaves, a burst of brilliance was annihilated, and the restriction spell in the cave disappeared. At the place where the ice thorns emerged, Jiang An's figure gradually appeared, her eyes about to spit fire. However, what was faster than Jiang An's figure was Jiang An's scolding voice. Bitch! I knew it! You are coveting my Langjun. Just now, you lied to me, saying that you were going to Jingbua City to avoid my eyes and ears. Who knew? You were actually meeting him here. Wife! I'm innocent. Yu Tsong's voice sounded. When did you come? Didn't you see? I was forced by her. How could I leave you to meet someone else? You still have the nerve to say that. Jiang An's figure had already flown to Xiao Xianrui, and Yu Tsong sighed as she spoke, and she shouted. Just now you were sneaking around. Did you think I didn't know anything? I saw that you were doing something that you didn't want to see me do, so I secretly followed you. Slap. As Jiang An spoke, she turned her hand and slapped Xiao Xianrui's face. Jiang An was also in Foundation establishment at this time, but unfortunately, she was still no match for Xiao Xianrui, who raised her hand to block it. Xiao Xianrui's face was also extremely red, and she hurriedly said, Sister, listen to sister-in-law's explanation. Bitch, what's there to explain? Jiang An clapped her hands, and several yellow talismans were taken out, and she was about to cast them with her magic power. You are having an affair behind my brother's back. How dare you explain it to me? If you want to explain it to my brother. I'll take you down now, you shameless bitch. Then, the yellow talismans in Jiang En's hand were thrown out, and all of them were thrown at Xiao Xianrui and Yukong. Xiao Xianrui gritted her teeth, grabbed Yutsong with her left hand, and hurriedly retreated. With a wave of her right hand, a light flashed, and a round shield blocked in front of the yellow talismans. The ice thorns, fireballs, and other objects all hit the light, and were gradually annihilated. Chapter 22:10. Bitch. How dare you say you have no affair with Yutsong? Jiang En said angrily. If you have no affair with him, why are you protecting him? Let me kill him as well. How could Xiao Xianrui let Yutsong die? She still wanted to save her boy from Yutsong. Sister. This is all a misunderstanding. Xiao Xianrui explained again. There is nothing between sister-in-law and Yutsong. Sister-in-law has no choice but to come here to see him because Lu is in Yutsong's hands. Nonsense. Jiang Yin clapped her hands again. This time, she was clearly anxious. It was actually a ring-shaped Dharma artifact. It emitted a faint green light, and under the activation of her transcendence energy, it suddenly enlarged. I saw it clearly just now. You forced Yutsong to retreat step by step. If it wasn't for the fact that you have something on him, how could he possibly have a private meeting with you again? What? Xiao Xianrui was shocked. At this time, she recalled again and suddenly realized that everything that Yutsong had done before was premeditated. If there was a mute restriction, others couldn't hear anything. Wouldn't it be a misunderstanding? Would he treat her as a prostitute? Immediately, Xiao Xianrui's face flushed red. At this time, Jiang En's magic weapon had been activated. It turned into a 5-foot circle of light, flying at the top of the cave, and was about to fall on Xiao Xianrui. Xiao Xianrui looked at Yutsong's pale face and anxious expression, and said angrily, Yutsong, I ask you, where is Jiang Lu? If you don't answer, I will immediately kill you. Sister-in-law, don't force me. I've said it 10,000 times. I only love my wife in this life. I will never have an affair with you. Yutsong was anxious. You threatened to hurt my wife's life to trick me here. Why are you slandering me for Lu's matter now? Hearing Yutsong's words, how could Xiao Xianrui not know that she had fallen into Yutsong's trap? However, she didn't care whether she had fallen into his trap or not. She just activated her magic power and said coldly, I will ask you again, where is Jiang Lu? Yutsong's face flushed red, looking anxious. This you really doesn't know. Even if you kill me, I won't know. Xiao Xianrui didn't expect that Yutsong wouldn't relent even at this moment. She would rather pinch him to death. However, could he really crush him to death? With a buzzing sound, Jiang En's ritual implement had already landed and covered Xiao Xianrui completely. Xiao Xianrui's magic tool had been shattered by Xiao Hua's magic hammer in Weeping Moon City. After returning to Yellowflower Ridge, due to various reasons, she had never obtained another magic tool. At this time, seeing the halo falling, Xiao Xianrui had no choice but to cast a spell and retreat again. Unfortunately, this time, her defensive halo was instantly shattered by Jiang Lian's magic tool. The halo only paused for a moment before hitting Xiao Xianrui's right arm. Hiss! Xiao Xianrui sucked in a breath of cold air, and felt a sharp pain. Her right arm had been broken. Blood seeped out of his Taoist robe. Good. Jiang En was so angry that she laughed. I don't know how my husband attracted you. You would rather hurt yourself than let him go. I didn't believe it at first. But now, I have to believe it. As she spoke, Jiang En pointed her finger and surged her magic power again, urging the ritual implement to hit Xiao Xianrui. Xiao Xianrui had no choice but to kick Yutsong's thigh. Yutsong's thigh flashed, and with a cracking sound, Yutsong's thigh was also broken. Yutsong couldn't help but scream. Yutsong, quickly tell me where Jiang Lu is. Otherwise, I will definitely make you wish you were dead. Xiao Xianrui's face was also ferocious. Bitch! How dare you? Without waiting for Yutsong to speak, Jiang En said angrily, how dare you kill my husband in front of me? I'll kill you. The ritual implement was covered in green light, and it smashed toward Xiao Xianrui again. Since you don't want to say it, you can go to hell. Xiao Xianrui's eyes flashed coldly, and she lifted Yu Tsong's body to block in front of the ritual implement. Humph, I'll kill this guy first, then I'll take your life. Jiang'an didn't hesitate, and she didn't withdraw her ritual implement at all. Directly attacking Yukong, Xiao Xianrui hated Yu Tsong, so of course, she wouldn't tolerate it. Yu Tsong was about to be killed by Jiang'an's ritual implement. Stop. Don't you think you've caused enough trouble? Do you still want to wash your dirty linen in public? A slightly old voice sounded, and a sharp magic power came. Jiang'an's ritual implement was immediately pulled back by the magic power, and it jumped in the air, the green light dimming. Seeing that the ritual implement was stopped, Xiao Xianrui's face suddenly turned pale, and she looked up at the cave entrance. Although Yu Tsong's back was facing the cave entrance, his face was pale, but he was obviously relaxed. After a trace of a smile flashed in his eyes, he actually landed on Xiao Xianrui's twin peaks. Father Jiang'an heard the familiar voice and couldn't help but feel sad. She cried and said, "Didn't you see that bitch of the Xiao family seducing my husband? How will my face be? How will your face be? How will my face be?" Cough, cough. Before Jiang'an's voice fell, a weak voice full of hatred sounded, and a somewhat trembling figure appeared beside Jiang Jiantong, who was standing at the cave entrance. It was Xiao Xianrui's husband, Jiang Fan. "Husband, why did you come out?" Xiao Xianrui's face was as white as paper, and she didn't know what to do with Yu Tsong in her hand. "If I didn't come out, how would I know what you've done? How would I know that you're so shameless?" Jiang Fan said coldly, "Husband, you've misunderstood." Xiao Xianrui hurriedly threw Yu Tsong to the ground and said, "I didn't see Jiang Luer today, and I received a message from this guy, saying that he brought Jiang Luer here. He asked me to come here alone, and I can't tell anyone, or he'll kill Jiang Luer. If he says I can't talk about it, then I can't." Jiang Fan said coldly, "Although I'm sick, I'm not dead. Jiang Luer is your boy. Isn't he my boy? Why didn't you tell me?" "Husband, what's your illness like? How would I dare to tell you?" Xiao Xianrui said anxiously. "Fanner is sick. You don't have to tell me, but what about me?" Jiang Jiantong said coldly, "I'm the leader of the 100 Herbs Gate. Can't you tell me?" Father Xiao Xianrui defended herself. Yu Tsong said clearly on the message charm that if I tell anyone, he'll kill Jiang Luer. I don't dare to take the risk. Hee, you only remember that Jiang Luer is your boy, but you forget that he has a father. Xiao Xianrui, do you think that I'm not his father? Jiang Fan suddenly sneered. "Husband, what do you mean?" Xiao Xianrui was stunned. However, Jiang Fan didn't say anything. Jiang Jiantong walked in front of Yu Tsong, pointed his finger, and released Yu Tsong's confinement technique. He said coldly, "Yu Tsong, tell me the cause of this matter." "Yes." Yu Tsong struggled to stand and said, "Father-in-law, I have never dared to tell father-in-law. Sister-in-law, she has always been flirting with me. I know what she's thinking, but I don't dare to tell father-in-law, and I don't even dare to tell my wife. I know that my wife is outspoken. Once I tell her, she'll definitely find sister-in-law. If she makes a fuss, Brother Fan will definitely know. With his current illness, it will definitely cause a big problem. Tell me about today." Jiang Jiantong saw Jiang Fan's face gradually change and asked lightly, "Yes, I received a message talisman today. It was from my sister-in-law. She said that she has something to discuss with me, and that it's related to Brother Fan's illness. She didn't let me tell anyone." Yu Tsong said again, "I didn't want to come. But since it's related to Brother Fan's illness, if sister-in-law has something to ask of my 10,000 Flower Valley, she would be embarrassed to say it in front of others, so she wanted to say it behind their backs, so I came. However, after I came, I didn't see sister-in-law. After waiting for a long time, she came over. After she came, she immediately used a silent restriction spell and talked to me crazily, saying something about Brother Fan's illness, and that she couldn't bear it. In short, I found it hard to talk about it, and then she actually wanted to hug me. Of course, the son-in-law couldn't accept it and backed down again and again. Who knew? that when she walked in front of this son-in-law, she suddenly used a confinement technique and restrained this son-in-law. Yu Tsong said. Father-in-law also knows that ever since sister-in-law built her foundation, her cultivation has improved greatly. Although I'm as strong as her, how could I fight her in such a short time? I was restrained by her in an instant. Then my wife appeared. Xiao Xianrui. Is what Yu Tsong said true? Jiang Jiantong said coldly. Xiao Xianrui's face was pale. She didn't answer Jiang Jiantong's question, but looked at Yu Tsong and asked word by word. Where is Jiang Luo? Sister-in-law, your question is strange. Yu Tsong shook his head and said, how would I know where Jiang Luo is? Jiang Luo went to Medicine Farmer Peak with Lai Hong. They will return in the afternoon. Jiang Jiantong said indifferently. Jiang Luo was playing at Lone Staff Peak. When she saw Lai Hong go out, she clamored to go with him. Lai Hong had no choice but to send me a message talisman. Oh, Xiao Xianrui heard, and immediately heaved a sigh of relief. She looked at Jiang Fan and said, husband, I'm telling the truth. If you don't believe me, you can see Yu Tsong's message talisman. With that, Xiao Xianrui took out a red message talisman and handed it to Jiang Jiantong. Jiang Jiantong took it with a cold face. He scanned it with his divine sense and threw it to Xiao Xianrui, saying angrily, this is the message talisman you were talking about. Ah! Xiao Xianrui was stunned. She picked up the message talisman from the ground and scanned it with her divine sense. Her face turned pale immediately. There was no magic power in the message talisman, and there was no sound at all. This Xiao Xianrui stared at Yukong's sister-in-law. Now that things have come to this, I have no choice but to take out the message talisman. Yu Tsong smiled bitterly. He clapped his hands, took out a message talisman, and handed it to Jiang Jiantong. Jiang Jiantong scanned it with his divine sense and activated his magic power. Xiao Xianrui's voice sounded. It matched what Yu Tsong said. Chapter 22:11. No. Xiao Xianrui panicked. It's not from me. It was from half a year ago. When Yu Tsong was talking to me about my husband's illness. Shut up. Jiang Fan scolded. Bitch. How dare you defend yourself? Why can't you find someone else? How dare you find him? You're humiliating me. Brother, what's wrong with Yu Tsong? Although Yu Tsong looks dull, she's a foundation establishment cultivator after all. She's much better than you, bitch. Jiang'an argued. I saw it clearly just now. It was this bitch who took the initiative. My husband kept retreating. If you're angry, you should ask her how she built her foundation, and where she got the talisman. Is this Jiang Luo really your own flesh and blood? Shut up. Jiang Fan glared at Jiang'an. He was about to speak, but then his face turned red. He spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. Husband Xiao Xianrui was shocked and hurried to his side. Go back. Jiang Jiantong was faster. He flew to Jiang Fan's side and supported him. He waved his sleeve and sent Xiao Xianrui flying. Jiang Jiantong was already in the late stage of foundation establishment. How could Xiao Xianrui get close to him? She kept arguing and didn't take the pill. The blood on her arm was even thicker. Bitch. Jiang'an carefully took out the pill and handed it to Yukong. Although her face was cold, her movements were gentle. When she walked past Xiao Xianrui with Yu Tsong, she couldn't help but spit on Xiao Xianrui's face and cursed. Xiao Xianrui looked wronged, but her eyes were unyielding. However, thinking of her boy, she tried to hide her unyielding look. She lowered her head and wiped Jiang and spit off her delicate face. She didn't say anything. Then, Xiao Xianrui looked at the empty cave and sighed. She took out a pill from her storage bag and swallowed it. When the pill dissolved, she got up and flew toward Yellowflower Ridge. The fog of Yellowflower Ridge was still easily opened by Xiao Xianrui. However, as soon as she passed through the fog and arrived at the welcoming pavilion, she was stopped by two elders in the early stage of Zhuji realm. The person in front was Lai Hong. Lai Hong cupped his hands with a cold expression and said, Young madam, my clan master has ordered you to pack up your things immediately. Take out all the items of my 100 Herbs Gate, and leave Yellowflower Ridge immediately. Elder Lai Xiao Xianrui ignored Lai Hong's cold face and asked anxiously, Where is Jiang Luo? Didn't he go to Medicine Farmer Peak with you? Why didn't you go? Where's Jiang Luer? Lai Hong hesitated for a moment before saying, Young madam, don't be anxious. Jiang Luer wanted to go to Medicine Farmer Peak with this old man, but this old man received a message from the sect and rushed back. Jiang Luer is now with the sect leader. All right. Xiao Xianrui heaved a huge sigh of relief and prepared to fly in the direction of Minsi Peak. But before she could fly, Lai Hong blocked her and said, Young madam, don't make things difficult for me. The sect leader has ordered you to pack up and leave Yellow Flower Ridge immediately. Elder Lai, Xiao Xianrui begged. I can leave Yellow Flower Ridge, but I must see Jiang Luer first. That's my flesh and blood. Besides, without Jiang Luer, where can I go? I beg of Elder Lai, I only want to see Jiang Luer, and the sect leader wants to explain the matter clearly. It's all a misunderstanding. Lai Hong was in a difficult position. Looking at the other elder with a thin face, he said hesitantly, Elder Huang Ri, you see humph. How can this old man dare to disobey the sect leader's orders? Young madam, you'd better leave Yellow Flower Ridge quickly. As for whether it's a misunderstanding or not, it has nothing to do with us. Huang Ri said coldly, although you're also an early-stage foundation establishment cultivator with profound dermic powers, you're still no match for Elder Lai and I. Don't force us to make a move here, it's not good for either of us. Swoosh, Xiao Xianrui suddenly took action. A large number of yellow talismans flew out, and dozens of fireball talismans enveloped Lai Hong and Huang Ri while she hurriedly flew towards Minsi Peak. Humph, this old man knew you had this idea. Huang Ri did not panic. With a clap of his hand, he took out a wooden staff-like magic tool. With a slight shake of his hand, a green vortex appeared, sucking in all the fireballs. A muffled rumbling sound could be heard. Rays of green brilliance splashed in all directions, annihilating all the fireballs. Young madam, stay here. Huang Ri raised his hand, and the wooden staff was like a green vine that rapidly extended and chased after Xiao Xianrui. It was about to strike Xiao Xianrui's bloodied right arm. With a light pung, Xiao Xianrui did not even turn around to resist. She only raised her right arm and blocked the wooden staff, while her left hand struck out several confinement spells. Huang Ri did not expect that Xiao Xianrui would rather injure herself to block his pursuit. Naturally, Lai Hong was also surprised, and he hurriedly struck out a spell to block in front of him. Their pursuit was blocked, but Huang Ri's wooden staff struck Xiao Xianrui's right arm. With a flash of light, the defensive yellow talisman was instantly shattered. Xiao Xianrui's right arm was instantly lacerated and blood splattered everywhere. Humph, Xiao Xianrui gritted her teeth and snorted coldly. She did not care about her injuries and hurriedly flew towards Minsi Peak. How dare you? Huang Ri was enraged. He activated his dermic powers, and the wooden staff was like a green wooden snake that chased after Xiao Xianrui. However, Lai Hong tugged at his sleeve and said, Elder Huang, where it is possible to let people off, one should spare them. Moreover, this is the young madam. If we can spare her, we should spare her. Elder Lai, you are wrong. Huang Ri flicked his sleeve and blocked Lai Hong, saying, In my eyes, the sect master's words are the heavens. I don't care about the young madam or young master. As long as the sect master says to let her go, then she must go. Hearing Huang Ri's words, Lai Hong retracted his hand and only smiled coldly. However, a trace of mockery flashed in his eyes. However, he did not dare to be negligent. He flew behind Huang Ri and chased after Xiao Xianrui. Although Xiao Xianrui had built her foundation later, she had received the soul accumulation talisman from Xiaohua in Weeping Moon City. After building her foundation, her dermic powers and cultivation were not inferior to Lai Hong and Huang Ri's. She might not be able to compete with the two of them in a fight, but when she flew, she actually gained an advantage. Not long after, Xiao Xianrui flew up to Minsi Peak. She saw Jiang Jiantong in front of the guest hall, carrying a 3 or 4-year-old child in his arms. He was about to walk in. Beside him, there were a dozen Hundred Herbs clan disciples crowding around the already awakened Jiang Fan. Jiang Luer Xiao Xianrui could not help but call out loudly. Mother, when the child heard this, he was overjoyed. He reached out his chubby little hand and grabbed at Xiao Xianrui. Chapter 22:12. Humph. Jiang Jiantong turned his head and snorted. Useless thing. However, since Xiao Xianrui had already flown to Mingli Peak, Jiang Jiantong could only wave his sleeve, and a surge of magic power gushed out, blocking Xiao Xianrui from approaching. Xiao Xianrui, what else do you want? Jiang Jiantong said coldly. This old man has given you enough face by allowing you to leave quietly. Could it be that you want this old man to announce your scandal to the public? Father Xiao Xianrui landed on the ground and pleaded. I've been wronged. I really didn't do anything to let Brother Fan down. I'm not your father, Jiang Jiantong said coldly. Your father is Xiao Hongyue, and he was buried in Yellow Flower Ridge long ago. Don't call me father in the future. As for whether you were wronged, or whether you did it yourself, I'm not blind. I can see everything clearly, so I don't need you to explain. Okay. Xiao Xianrui looked at Jiang Fan and pleaded. Brother Fan, I've been with you for so many years. Don't you know how I treat you? Don't tell me you don't trust me. I did want to believe you, Jiang Fan said through gritted teeth. But how can you make me believe you? You know that guy is a pervert, but you still keep in touch with him and stay alone with him. Isn't it just that you don't trust me? Today Jiang Hong saw everything and caught the two of you on the spot. What can you quibble about? Since you have this idea, I'll help you. Why do you have to be entangled here? Brother Fan Xiao Xianrui still didn't want to give up and said, Today's matter is obviously Yu Tsong's trap. How could Jiang Hong lie in the cave so early? And how could my husband and father arrive at that time? Isn't this very strange? Don't call me father, I have nothing to do with you, Jiang Jiantong said coldly again. I don't know why Fan was there. But I went out with Fan But when I saw you sneaking out of the maze of Yellow Flower Ridge, I became suspicious and went to check it out. Xiao Xianrui's heart was as cold as ice. Looking at Jiang Jiantong, she understood something. Maybe Jiang Jiantong didn't mean it, or maybe he did it on purpose. It was a piece of cake for him. Let's not talk about what happened today, Jiang said coldly. Where's the jasper saber I gave you? When I was here, you couldn't build your foundation, but when I left, you immediately did it. Or did he build his foundation when all the disciples were sacrificed and no one was around? How did you get the talisman? Sighed Brother Fan. Xiao Xianrui sighed and said, Didn't I already say it? It was a cultivator dressed in camouflage robes who smashed my jasper saber with a demonic hammer. The moment he killed me, I involuntarily entered Foundation establishment. That's when that cultivator gave me the talisman. Ha ha. Jiang Fan laughed until tears rolled down his cheeks. He raised his hand with difficulty and said, Are you trying to fool a 3-year-old boy? A demonic weapon. Who else could have a demonic weapon except for a demonic cultivator from the Heavenly Demon Sect? And what kind of cultivators are those from the Heavenly Demon Sect? What yin and yang dual cultivation? What female babies? What kind of dirty cultivation methods don't they have? You built your foundation under the hands of a demonic cultivator from the Heavenly Demon Sect. How could I not be suspicious? And why did the cultivator from the Thunder Control Sect give you a peacock doll? Why do you like peacock dolls so much? Do I need to say more? What's the talisman? It's something that even my father didn't get. My 100 Herbs sect can't even exchange for the talisman, but that cultivator gave it to you so easily. You think you're his disciple? If you didn't have an affair with him, he wouldn't have given you such an important thing. Xiao Xianrui's face turned pale. She was speechless. What she said was the truth, and it really happened. But in the eyes of others, there were so many flaws. There were thousands of pieces of evidence to prove her infidelity. Things in this world really couldn't stand up to scrutiny, especially in the eyes of those who wanted to see it. Do you want me to say more? Jiang Fan said coldly. Do you want to tear apart the last bit of face? Since you want to tear it apart, then let's tear it apart. Xiao Xianrui clenched her teeth and said, I'd like to see how shameless I can be. Good. Jiang Fan pointed at Jiang Luer and said, Tell me what's wrong with Jiang Luer. Xiao Xianrui said coldly. So you've always been suspicious of Jiang Luer's identity? That's right, Jiang Fan said with a hideous smile. There was a problem with my body when I built my foundation. Originally, I couldn't have children. But I didn't expect that 3 years ago, you would get pregnant. Aha! Isn't this a bit too much of a coincidence? Thinking back to that day, I'm afraid you've already planned it. Yes, that's right. I planned it. Xiao Xianrui nodded and said, Jiang Luer is not your son. Give him back to me, and I'll leave Yellow Flower Ridge immediately. Ha ha ha, bitch, you finally admit it, Jiang Fan said with a hideous smile. In that case, what happened today was not a coincidence, and what we saw was not a misunderstanding. If you want to condemn someone, you can always find a pretext, Xiao Xianrui said coldly. But I was forced to be with such a vulgar person, which really slandered me. But it doesn't matter now. You can say whatever you want. As long as you give Jiang Luer to me, I'll take all the responsibility. You want to take Jiang Luer away? You're really delusional. Jiang Jiantong sneered and said, Luer is the next leader of the 100 Herbs faction. If you take him away, won't my years of hard work be in vain? Father, Leader Jiang, Xiao Xianrui said anxiously, I'll promise you anything. I'll accept all the dirty water, but since Jiang Luer is not your son, why can't you give him back to me? Do I need to tell you the reason? Jiang Jiantong glared at Xiao Xianrui and said, Go. For Jiang Luer's sake, I won't take your life. But you want to take Jiang Luer away? That's absolutely impossible. Then Jiang Jiantong waved his hand and said, Are you all stupid? Drive this bitch out of Yellow Flower Ridge. As for himself, he was about to walk into the reception hall with Jiang Luer in his arms. Luer, Xiao Xianrui called out anxiously. Mother Jiang Luer didn't understand what they were saying, but he listened obediently and didn't disturb the adults. But at this time, when he saw Xiao Xianrui's anxiety, he suddenly understood what his mother was thinking, so he hurriedly called out, That's not your mother. Your mother died a long time ago, Jiang Jiantong said with a smile. The mother in front of you is just the mother Grandpa found to feed you. No, my mother is Luer's mother. Jiang Luer didn't fall for the trick and struggled in Jiang Jiantong's arms. Luer. Xiao Xianrui flew out and rushed to Jiang Jiantong. Get lost. Jiang Jiantong waved his sleeve and a huge force surged out, shaking Xiao Xianrui more than 10 feet away. Xiao Xianrui fell down, and her injured right arm oozed blood again. Xiao Xianrui took a breath of cold air, got up and crawled to the ground, crying, Leader Jiang, I beg you, give Jiang Luer back to me. I can't live without Jiang Luer, and Jiang Luer can't live without his mother. Get lost. Jiang Jiantong still said only one word. Brother Fan, please do me a favor. Xiao Xianrui knelt on the ground again and said to Jiang Fan, who was surrounded by people, You know, I didn't have a mother since I was young, and I know the loneliness of not having a mother since I was young. When I gave birth to Jiang Luer, I secretly swore that I would never let him live without a mother again, and I would never let him repeat my mistakes. If I wasn't by his side, Jiang Luer would definitely cry. Please do me a favor, and let me take Jiang Luer away. What does this have to do with me? Jiang Fan sneered. Jiang Luer is not my flesh and blood. What happens to him in the future has nothing to do with me. Mother Jiang Luer seemed to understand something. He cried in a hoarse voice and stretched out his little hand with all his strength. Unfortunately, in Jiang Jiantong's hands, Jiang Luer was even less than a chicken. There was no chance for him to struggle at all. Xiao Xianrui felt like her heart was being twisted by a knife, and her whole body was being torn apart. The pain in her right arm was nothing at all at this time. Don't worry. Jiang Jiantong laughed. It's just a few days. Jiang Luer still has you in his heart. Tomorrow, this old man will find him a beautiful mother, and he will soon forget about you. He will never have a day without a mother. Moreover, Jiang Luer will be the young lord of our 100 Herbs Gate in the future. What glory, wealth, mental cultivation methods, and panaceas can he not have? How can he compare with you and Xiao Yuehong? Thinking of Yu Tsong's trick, Xiao Xianrui's face suddenly changed. She kowtowed and said, Leader Jiang, please let Jiang Luer go. He is still young and is not a chess piece in your game. If Jiang Luer follows me, he can live a few more years. If he stays in Yellow Flower Ridge, I'm afraid bitch. Jiang Jiantong was furious and scolded. You know so much. Get out of here. Leader Jiang. At this time, Xiao Xianrui no longer had the demeanor of a cultivator in the early stage of foundation establishment. She only had the painstaking efforts of a loving mother, and the love of holding a child in her arms. She had long forgotten about her cultivation, and hoped that her pleading could move Jiang Jiantong. I won't leave even if I die. I want to stay by Jiang Luer's side. You won't leave? Jiang Jiantong rolled his eyes and nodded. You only need to agree to 3 of my conditions, and I will agree to them. Father Jiang Fan said angrily. Why do you want to keep such a shameless bitch? Don't you think this boy has lost a lot of face? Okay. Xiao Xianrui was afraid that Jiang Jiantong would go back on his word, so she quickly said, there is no need to say 3. I will agree to thousands of conditions, as long as I can stay by Jiang Luer's side. Jiang Jiantong ignored Jiang Fan and said with a smile, Xiao Xianrui, these 3 conditions are very simple. First, you can stay by Jiang Luer's side, but you can't say that you are his mother. You can only be his nanny. Chapter 22:13. Okay. Xiao Xianrui agreed without hesitation. The second condition is to destroy your cultivation. I don't feel at ease leaving an early-stage foundation establishment cultivator in the 100 Herbs Gate. Okay. Xiao Xianrui agreed without hesitation. To her, her child was far more important than her cultivation. The third condition? You're going to ruin your own face. You should know that the reason you ended up like this is because of your face. Okay. Xiao Xianrui didn't even think and agreed without hesitation. What was her face? The flesh and blood that fell from her body was far more important than her appearance. Even Jiang Jiantong didn't expect that his harsh conditions were simply to make things difficult for Xiao Xianrui. However, Xiao Xianrui agreed without hesitation. Jiang Jiantong's jaw dropped in shock. Jiang Jiantong had underestimated the love of mothers for their children. Okay. Jiang Jiantong clapped his hands and said, in that case, I have nothing else to say. If you fulfill these 3 conditions now, I will let you stay. Okay. Xiao Xianrui stood up shakily, her lips trembling. She looked at Jiang Luer and said, Luer, take a good look at your mother and look at my face. Mother can't accompany you in the future. I hope you can remember this face of mine. Mother Jiang Luer's tears wet her little face. Gate leader Jiang, please take Luer away. I'm afraid that destroying my face will frighten the child. When I recover from my injuries, I will immediately change my appearance and become his nanny. Xiao Xianrui looked at Jiang Luer again, and said to Jiang Jiantong with a determined look in her eyes. Okay. Jiang Jiantong smiled and nodded. It was time to leave. Rumble. An earth-shattering sound rang out, and the entire Yellow Flower Ridge shook. Jiang Jiantong and the others were still fine. Their bodies swayed slightly and flew into the air. Xiao Xianrui, on the other hand, lost her balance and fell to the ground. She was mentally and physically exhausted and had lost a lot of blood. She actually fainted. Many of the aura refining disciples also staggered and almost fell down. What's going on? Jiang Jiantong was furious. Rumble. Then there was another series of tremors. Even the air began to ripple. Someone is attacking our 100 Herbs Gates formation. Jiang Jiantong came to a realization and hurriedly said to Lai Hong and Huang Ri, Elders, quickly bring this disciple over to take a look. Once this old man is done with this matter, I will head over immediately. Yes, Lai Hong had wanted to leave long ago. When he heard Jiang Jiantong's instructions, he immediately pulled Huang Ri's sleeve and flew out of mindless worship peak. Slut, you actually dare to act in front of this old man. Seeing that Xiao Xianrui had fainted, Jiang Jiantong sneered. How could a cultivator in the early stage of foundation building faint so easily? Men, go and see what's going on. Quickly settle this matter. Truly unlucky. If I had known earlier, I would have. An aura refining female disciple flew over. After taking a look, she hastily reported. Reporting to sect master, young madam has indeed fainted. Slap him. What young mistress? There's no such thing as a young mistress in my 100 Herbs Gate. Jiang Fan cursed. Yes, disciple knows her mistake. The female disciple was afraid and hurriedly admitted her mistake. Why aren't you waking her up? Jiang Jiantong scolded. Rumble. Another earth-shaking tremor shook the earth. Jiang Jiantong frowned and handed Jiang Luer to a disciple beside him. He raised his head and looked into the distance, saying curiously, "Who's coveting my yellow flower ridge again? It seems like no one has come to provoke us for a long time." The female disciple took out a small gourd, pulled out the cork, and placed it in front of Xiao Xianrui's nose. Xiao Xianrui's nose twitched a few times, and her eyes began to move. She slowly woke up. Reporting to Sect Master Yang, "She's awake." Before Jiang Jiantong could take out the jade tablet that controlled the array to examine the situation outside, he heard the female disciple's report. Jiang Jiantong didn't care and said coldly, "Xiao Xianrui, hurry up. If you want to leave, you can leave now. If you want to stay, quickly cripple your cultivation." "I know." Xiao Xianrui woke up and sighed slightly. She looked down at her right arm. It was a bloody mess, and even her bones were exposed. She couldn't help but plead. "I'm seriously injured. Can you let me rest for a few days?" "In your dreams," Jiang Jiantong said coldly. "Don't try to delay." "Then, you have to let me take the elixir, right?" Xiao Xianrui said with a bitter smile. "Now that I've crippled my cultivation, I'm afraid I can't even keep my life." "Then you'd better go," Jiang Jiantong said impatiently. "What does your life have to do with me?" "Okay." Xiao Xianrui gritted her teeth. Just as she was about to practice, a voice came. "Father-in-law, why do you have to do this? What's wrong with letting her take the elixir? I saw that outside the array, there seemed to be someone who didn't want to live coming to provoke us. Why don't we let this person live? Although she slandered us, we can't not treat her well." Jiang Jiantong looked over and saw that it was Yu Tsong, who had just retreated. Obviously, he was also awakened by the movement outside the array. "Okay. Since my good son-in-law has interceded, I'll let you take the elixir." Jiang Jiantong wanted to refuse, but when he thought of the sect outside the array, he gritted his teeth and nodded. Xiao Xianrui looked coldly at Yu Tsong and Jiang Yan, who was gritting his teeth behind Yukong. She clapped her hands and took out a healing elixir. But before she took it, her heart moved slightly, and she inexplicably took another elixir made by Xiao Hua. Xiao Xianrui had never used this elixir before. This was the first time. A warm current gushed out from her body, and the elixir of the elixir rushed to her right arm. A numb and itchy feeling came from the wound. The magical elixir repaired the wound. Although new granulation was not visible to the naked eye, it was clearly seen by divine sense that it was rapidly growing. "Oh, what kind of elixir is this?" Yu Tsong noticed it, and Jiang Jiantong was also slightly stunned. But at that moment, a communication talisman flew over with a whistle. Jiang Jiantong raised his hand and grabbed the communication talisman. He activated his dermic powers and crushed the communication talisman. Lai Hong's anxious voice came from it. Reporting to Sect Master, "The incoming person is very fierce. He's an early-stage foundation establishment cultivator. We are no match for him." Elder Huang Ri was killed by the incoming person with a Dharma treasure in just one move. Now the incoming person is using true Samadhi fire to burn the array. At the same time, he's using another Dharma treasure to attack the array. That Dharma treasure is extremely powerful. Sect Master, please hurry and help. Otherwise, it will be broken in a short while. Jiang Jiantong and Yu Tsong were shocked. They were very clear about Huang Ri's cultivation. He was a cultivator who had reached foundation establishment long ago. How could he be killed in just one move? Right, how many people are there? Who are they? What do they look like? Yu Tsong asked. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.